All right. What's going on, motherfuckers? Yeah, I said motherfuckers. I don't give a damn. So before we get into who is in the studio today, because you may or may not see this video, as always, who knows what's going on with the video, right, guys? Fuck that guy. Fuck the video. I'll figure it out eventually. I was at Best Buy today, looking at a couple of computers, actually. MacBooks and some high-powered Surface Pros, because mine is just kind of a piece of shit, low-powered Surface Pro, so we'll get to that eventually, but hopefully I can get some video up. If I can't get it done here, I'm going to take it to somebody else's house that's got a computer that will render this thing, and I'm going to download the Adobe Premiere Pro software on their computer, and we'll figure it out. But real quick, before we get started, we'll do an ad. TNriverraft@gmail.com. You've heard me talk about it before. Slayton Johnson up there in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. He is doing good stuff. Right now the season is closed. I just talked to him the other day, yesterday as a matter of fact, and the rafting season closed down a couple weeks ago actually, but Slayton says he doesn't close. So if you're still interested in going rafting, the season is over. You can't get a tour. You can't get out there and find a place to go raft. TNriverraft@gmail.com. Hook up with Slayton Johnson. He'll take you out no matter what time of year it is. You could have some icebergs out there in the river. I don't know. It could be snowing. Slayton's going to get you out there, I guess. And he just doesn't close. He wants to make some money. He wants to give somebody an experience. I think you have a different experience during the off season than you do during the on season for sure. So look up Slayton Johnson. Email him at tnriverraft@gmail.com. Do you have an ad, sir?
No, I was actually just thinking, have you ever thought about doing ads as you go throughout?
I have done that occasionally.
Before or after?
Well, there's pre-roll, there's called mid-roll, and then there's post-roll. So you can actually do
fucking get smart with me.
3 different things.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it anywhere you want to. But I like to kind of get them out of the way so I don't forget about them. Sometimes I forget about them, and then I throw them in after the fact. Sometimes I've saved them for the end. So I've done it all 3 ways, I guess.
Oh.
I've done 3 ways.
I'm just talking. I think it'd be cool. You're talking about a topic. It pertains to something that someone does around town or whatever. You just throw an ad in right away.
You could do that.
The whole thing's an ad.
It is. It's an ad for life.
Keto Dojo.
I wasn't even going to mention the Keto Dojo today, or Homegrown Brewhouse, but now we've done both.
Come on. You were.
I wasn't going to mention it at all.
It's a part of it. It's part of everything.
Well, before you get into an ad, who's in the studio today?
Me.
That's usually what I would ask Caleb, but he's not here. So, yeah, we got Brian Dales 2.0, the new Brian.
New Brian 2.0.
Brian Jr. in the studio today.
Yep. All
the way from Flagstaff, Arizona.
Because my father wasn't original enough to give me a new name.
Well, I was just trying to go with tradition because there was a lot of juniors in the family, and that was, there was other juniors in the family. So I thought it would be a good idea, and it didn't take a lot of work, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I know. That's the main reason. You should just left at that.
Yell at your mother because she was on board with it. She didn't fight me on it.
Yeah, you're both lazy. And then you get.
I tried to get super creative on this. On
the second one, and he's got a great name. He's got a very unique name.
It could have been even more unique. Not really, because it was going to be Bruce Lee. But
yeah, that would kind of sucked.
Well, it was after my brother Bruce in a way, and then it was after Bruce Lee, which
you don't want to name anybody after Bruce.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't now. Yeah, but I could have. I tried. But I got 86th on that idea, so I'm not liking the way my mic is sitting today. But, so we got Brian Jr. all the way, my firstborn son, all the way from Flagstaff, Arizona. This thing is all out of whack.
It's always something.
It's always something with this mic.
You don't like the chair? You don't like the mic?
I'm all in the wrong position here. I thought you were doing an ad.
No, I said I had to.
You're going to do it in the middle?
Comment on doing ads. I didn't have an ad.
All right, so no ad. I got something on my shirt. We're doing a video here.
No ad right now. Well, we might not do the video, so.
I mean, it's on. It's going.
Yeah, but who knows if it's going to work.
The video works. It's just a matter of getting it uploaded, exported and uploaded. So let's open a beer. Let's do that. If you're not going to do an ad.
I'll do them as we go. We'll do them as we go.
All right. So we're going to open 2 different beers. I got to go back to my other page here. Bam, bam, bam. Hopsecutioner. That's what I'm drinking. So it's an IPA. Terrapin Beer Company. Terrapin is out of Athens, Georgia. This beer is 7.3% ABV. It's got 71 IBUs. It's got a 3.77 average rating. Over 140,000 ratings, actually, added to the page here in 2010. This killer IPA earns its name by using 6 different types of hops while still remaining an aggressive, well-balanced beer. That's all it says. I'm going to be pouring it in a Freehouse Brewing Company glass, local brewery here. And I probably could have not been rude and poured my guest's beer first, but
Are you going to taste yours and not open mine? Is that how you're going to do it?
Excuse me?
You're going to taste yours, critique it?
No, go ahead.
All right.
So Brian is going to open his now. He is drinking also a Terrapin Beer Company beer out of Athens, Georgia. 6.5% ABV, 77 IBUs. Beer called Panama Krunkles. And it was added last year. It is a pineapple and papaya IPA inspired by Central America. Tangy, juicy, and tropical.
It's it's exclusive to the 12-pack that we got. I'm a big fan of 12-packs.
True.
I buy them more than single beers now.
And see, I never buy 12-pack. I think it's the first 12-pack I've had in this house. Well, Tommy buys some 12-packs. He'll buy the Citradelic 12-pack or Voodoo Ranger 12-pack. But
those are,
But you buy the mixed packs. What you're saying?
I like the mixed packs.
Mostly?
I like the mixed IPA packs. They got a Red Hook pack that's a bunch of IPAs. They got fruity, piney, citrusy IPAs all in one pack. It's affordable. You have them for the week. It's great.
Yeah.
And they're usually all right. This one's pretty good.
Yeah, tasted that one earlier today. It was very tasty. I can't tell, because I'm bad with flavors, man, but I can't tell what I get more of, the pineapple or papaya in there. Pineapple?
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was.
Well, because the pineapple just lends itself so well to the IPA hops. Papaya usually I never really get any papaya. It's just there as a fucking descriptor.
I'd have to actually go buy a papaya and taste it to remember what it even tastes like. 'Cause I
Right.
can't remember the last time I've had a papaya, but...
Who can? Write in if you've had a papaya in the last week.
I'm trying to remember the last time I've even heard the word papaya. I think it was from a Seinfeld episode, like in 1987 or 1997, when he said papaya.
Could
Papaya.
be. It's not very common.
Yeah. Well, it's not really indigenous to this part of the country, anyways, right?
To any part of the country. I don't think anyone.
I mean, I don't think.
Anyone.
Can you even go to the store here and get a papaya?
Oh.
I know you can get a pineapple for sure.
Anyway, you taste more pineapple.
Yeah. This Hopsecutioner is basically just it's like to me, just a traditional, like a West Coast style IPA. Just kind of heavy hops, heavy bitterness right in your face. It's not like all the stuff they're doing now with the papaya and the pineapple and the juiciness and the haziness and the New England style. This is kind of just a classic bitter hop bomb.
Yeah, it's funny when we were at, I don't know which bar it was yesterday when we were hopping around, but the bartender
we got to talk about that.
Bartender there seemed super agitated on New England IPAs. It was like, fuck New England IPAs, I hate that everyone's doing these. Everything tastes the same, it's all hazy and...
Was that Chris over at Edmonds Oast? Because I know we talked about Charlestown Fermentory and some different things and Common House. Wasn't Chris?
I don't think it was Chris. It might have been.
To Josh.
But it's funny because, we just started kind of having a big influx of New England IPAs on the West Coast. And everyone's like, oh man, this is good. I'm really into New England IPAs, but it seems like some people here are kind of washed out. Well,
but I mean, it's just like everything, right? People just have to hate on something. They just want to hate something.
Yeah. it's popular, people are gonna hate it.
Right. So I think it's because of the popularity, but it is kind of oversaturated as well. So I can see both sides of it. I can see there's probably some people that are just bitching just to bitch, but I've kind of got burnt out on them too. I work at the Homegrown Brew House at 117.
Here's the ad.
At 117 South Main Street, and we got 40 taps on the wall, and probably at any given time we've got 2 to 3 New England style IPAs on the tap, and we've probably got a couple sitting in the refrigerator in a can or a bottle. So it's very oversaturated, and I get a little tired of it as well.
Yeah,
but you can do that with any style of beer.
There's phases, people go through phases.
So, but I like them. I think they're very good.
I like them too, and like I said, I'm more into the have a beer every night after work, and a 12-pack usually has a bunch of New England IPAs, at least now.
Yeah.
The Red Hook pack I got, this one, oh man, this one didn't really have, maybe it did. Did this 12-pack have a New England IPA?
Did not.
Whoa, all right, there you go.
I mean, that would be the closest something to it, but it's not even close to it. But yeah, I remember when we went out to Colorado Springs, there was, I think it was at Go Patch, as a matter of fact, wasn't it? That they had a New England style IPA, and I said, Dad, they're just not doing it as well over here as I feel like we're doing in South Carolina. And then I said, I don't even think South Carolina's doing as well as they are up in like Massachusetts or whatever. So
right,
it definitely it gets its own style or its own kind of makeover depending on what part of the country you're in. And they kind of put their own spin on it, whatever. But I didn't think they were as good out in Colorado Springs. They were good.
Nothing was good about Colorado Springs.
Go Patch was good.
All right, Go Patch was good, and the elementary school concept that it was in was good.
Right.
But the place itself is a hellhole.
It's a hellhole.
It's a dirty...
Downtown proper was okay. That one coffee shop we went into.
I don't think you redeemed it for me.
It did not. I mean, it was 10% okay and 90% not really that good.
You couldn't even get marijuana at the place, and I didn't even care. I don't smoke marijuana, but you couldn't even get marijuana where you wanted to get marijuana.
Right. Yeah. You think that the entire state is an entire state unto itself, but it's kind of like the United States. Every state has its own rules. You have a federal law. You have states are okay to do kind of their own thing, and then I guess within those states, even the counties are able to do their own thing. So. Yeah, we get to Colorado Springs and we're looking around for some recreational weed because it's legal there. And Colorado Springs proper right there happened to be one of the 3 cities within the state of Colorado that you could not get recreational weed. It was only medicinal. You had to have a card. So, yeah.
Seems dumb. I feel like that is just like the New England IPA, Colorado Springs just wanted to say fuck you to the rest of Colorado.
You think so?
Because what'd they say? There's only like 3 counties or something in Colorado that don't...
3 counties.
Yeah, come on.
That's what I just said. Were you listening?
No. I was thinking about what I was going to say.
You were thinking about what you were going to say. That happens sometimes. There's been plenty of times I've been on this thing and somebody's saying something and I'm just off thinking about what my next topic is, which is bad to say, but that's what happened when I first started off. I think I was kind of too into my head about, okay, how am I going to keep this conversation going? And I would not even be listening to what somebody was saying. And then I'd ask the same question again 10 minutes later. I did it to Clayton Lewis one time, and a couple other people that I remember that they'd already answered the question, and I asked it again because I wasn't paying attention.
It's embarrassing.
I know. It's embarrassing. You learn from it.
God.
So you going to do an ad?
Oh, you want me to do an ad now? Sure.
You can do whatever you want to.
I'll do an ad, sure. Let's see. How about for Bricks? Bricks is a restaurant and wine bar in Flagstaff, Arizona, run by, or generally managed by Daniel Weber, who is a level 1, going towards his level 2 sommelier certification. And it is the best restaurant in Flagstaff. I could say that very confidently. Depending on styles, it's a fancier place. And I guess that's it. It's good if you like wine and cocktails. And
that's the ad?
That's the ad. What was the ad supposed to be? Am I supposed to say the address? Like, I don't know the address.
You got to prep. You didn't do any prep.
I didn't do a prep for ads. I'm not here to sell anything.
Right. Just thought you might want to mention
Just want to mention Daniel.
How do you spell Bricks?
Brix. It's
And I heard you and Josh talking about that last night. So what is bricks have something to do with wine? Or what?
Yeah, I don't want to butcher it, but I'm pretty sure it's the measure of it's like the sugar content in a measure of sugar content in wine or something like that. But I could be mistaken because I don't do my job very well.
And it's spelled like that?
Brix, yeah.
Brix. Let's look it up. Why not? Degrees Brix is a sugar content of an aqueous solution. 1 degree Brix is 1 gram of sucrose and 100 grams of solution and represents the strength of the solution as percentage by mass. If the solution contains dissolved solids other than pure sucrose, then the BX only approximates the dissolved solid content. That confused the fuck out of me, but
if Daniel's listening to this, fuck yeah. I knew it.
Yeah,
I knew something about wine. He doesn't get mad at me, but I always feel like I don't study enough to be in the position I'm in at that job.
Well, I mean,
look at me now.
You make it.
Look at me now.
Yeah, you did learn something, I guess.
Yep.
You learned something. So bricks.
Osmosis.
How long have you been working there?
10 months maybe? 9-10 months. It's been good. It's a fun restaurant. It's still a restaurant though. And I want to move away from restaurants just because of the culture is fucking weird. The people who work in restaurants are weird.
Like just food and bev, you mean?
Yeah, just food and bev in general. It's all, all food and beverages is fucking Coke and raves. That's it.
Like cocaine, or are you talking about Coca-Cola?
No, not like Coca-Cola. not wholesome Coca-Cola and raves, but
yeah,
bum sugar. Baby.
I've never seen any Coke in food and bev.
You never seen any Coke and food? You're not looking hard enough.
Not in the circle I'm in.
I guarantee someone you work with does Coke.
Not somebody I work with. It's just me and Caleb. And Caleb doesn't.
You better check Caleb.
If it's not me, it's him. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
All right. I have to text Caleb. See what he's doing over there after work.
Ask him about his Coke habit.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's good money for sure. That's why everyone does it, And that's why everyone does Coke.
It's not good money.
No,
you lose money.
You make good money, so you buy Coke.
Oh, okay. So you're making the money so you can buy Coke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can say I've never done Coke. I don't think I ever will. Well, I don't think I ever will. I won't. I won't ever do Coke.
Well,
never say never, I guess, but I don't think I will.
One of the most...
Well, if you had some, I'd do it. That's all I'm saying.
No, of course. Why not? Who cares?
Yeah.
Everything should be your choice. Your maybe not like black tar heroin or something, but maybe even black tar heroin. Maybe not meth. I don't know. Draw the lines in some way, I guess, but I don't think drugs are.
We never know what how your body might interact with that particular substance. It might you might have a good effect.
Oh yeah.
It might be a positive effect.
Well, that's what I didn't listen to this, but Sean was listening to an episode of Joe Rogan. Someone was on there, a chemist or something, said that exact same thing. And you don't know how drugs affect your personal chemistry.
Yeah.
Could be nothing at all.
Could be.
Could ruin your life. So.
I mean, it's like me. I go out and get rub up against poison ivy, poison oak, whatever, and I get this huge rash and I break out and everything. Some people can touch it, nothing happens to them.
Mm-hmm.
Some people get stung by a bee, they die.
True.
Some people get stung by a bee, they just get a little bite, got a little itch, a little scratch.
All different.
Yeah. I know people that can drink alcohol, and after 2 beers, they're a complete asshole. Some people can drink 3 beers or maybe a couple of whiskeys, and they're ready to fight everybody in the goddamn bar. Other people, they can have a few beers, they're asleep in the corner.
Yep.
People like myself, I feel like I could drink all day long, and my demeanor will stay exactly like this the entire time. Maybe a little looser, maybe a little happier, funnier, maybe possibly, I don't know, but just with alcohol. So that can happen with any substance, I guess. People are going to react differently.
Yeah, but I can tell you, one of the greatest achievements you can have is if a cokehead offers you coke without really knowing you that well.
Do what now?
It's just so... You're like, what, me? You want me to have some of your coke? It's like a prized possession for a lot of people.
I guess.
For them to offer you some coke in the bathroom, it's just like... I didn't do it, but I was honored. That's all I'm saying.
I guess so, because, I mean, it's expensive.
It is. It is expensive. It's good. But, on the subject, everything should be legal. Let's legalize heroin, legalize opioids. Very big advocate of that. Just because the world is fucked up when we start penalizing people for experimenting with things.
Right. But there had to be a reason, right, that we banned certain things. I mean...
Fucking Nancy Reagan being a bitch.
Before that, though, right?
I don't think so. I think it
I think it was Nixon, right? The war on drugs?
Was it?
Initially?
No. I thought the war on drugs was Reagan.
Well, that's when it kind of really hit the fan, but I think initially, right? I don't know. I'd have to look up the history on it. But
yeah, people were doing bumps for breakfast at one point.
Yeah, I think it was because... Joe talks about this all the time, right? I mean, it was specifically for, like, marijuana. It was the paper. People could produce paper. The cotton gin came out, and you could produce paper a lot cheaper than you could produce hemp or harvest hemp and whatever. So paper kind of took over, and hemp kind of went to the wayside. Plus, he also owned, what the hell is the guy's name that he always talks about? And plus, he owned the newspaper, so he put out his own propaganda out there and kind of demonized hemp and marijuana and all these types of things. So, I don't know. I'm probably butchering it, but something to that effect. It was affecting the bottom line of paper production, so they had to demonize it and get it out of there and make it taboo, I guess.
It's always
Does that sound right?
It's always a money game.
Oh, always follow the money. But yeah, I mean, if you legalized everything, I don't know. Do we want to get that deep into this subject?
Oh yeah, legalize it all, and then open up rehab facilities instead of prisons. Help people instead of making criminals. Yeah,
it's a good point. And I think initially there would probably be a period of total chaos.
Oh, there always is. Everyone takes the first.
But I think it would teeter off, and it would filter out and equalize as people became accustomed to. Okay, I can just get anything I want now. Now it's not really that interesting to me.
Yeah.
But initially, people were going to be like, everything's legal. Let's do everything.
That's how everything is initially. I mean, everything within the first 5 to 10 years, everything's horrible with any kind of new endeavor, new change. And then kind of all fucking equals out. Nothing's so bad, except for maybe the Nazis.
Right.
Stuff like that.
But yeah, a few years go by and you're like, it's just cocaine. No big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
Doesn't matter.
Right. Then you take it out of the criminal's hands. You can tax it. You can make money off of it. You can build roads. You can... Just like they're doing with marijuana and stuff in Colorado and all these other states now, all the profits that they're making off of it, and they're able to put that back into education and offer, freer or cheaper health care to people. A lot of benefits.
Right. And again, it's follow the money.
And then you're giving jobs again. People can actually grow those crops and produce those plants and the cocoa plants and whatever. And now you got jobs that you're creating for people.
Yep.
And the prices come down because you can standardize it. That's the other key thing is now you know exactly what you're getting when you buy your cocaine. You're not going to get some cocaine that's kind of split with baking soda or name your thing. Some people put poisons and stuff in the cocaine, and you're cutting it with different things. Now you're going to know it's regulated. You know what you're getting.
Exactly.
And it's more consistent.
It's good. Yeah. For the betterment of society, legalize all drugs. Yeah.
I wish Granddaddy was here to debate that topic.
Well.
Or any Republican.
Fox News didn't say it. Granddaddy doesn't believe it.
That's what we learned tonight. That was the lesson of today.
Which is the
Fox
same.
News is the only true news source.
It's the same for all the other news sources too, but whoever thinks that one news source is right above all else is wrong, no matter what news source you listen to.
Well, again, I bring it back to Joe quite often on this show, but Joe even talks about he'll do a split screen on his computer and put CNN on one side and Fox News on the other side, and it's hilarious to see how they both have a totally different spin on whatever the news story is of the day. They both are the exact opposite. And I mean, we can't be that different as a people to have so left and right thoughts, It's just so weird that both of those channels just hate each other. What happened to the news? What happened to telling the true story? What happened to telling the facts and going out and finding the facts before you even produce a news story? Now, you put a story out, and then if you find out it's false, then you go back and just kind of retract it and kind of apologize and whatever. Used to be you had to have the facts first before the director, producer, whatever would even let you put the story out.
Well, it's all about...
But now it's who can get the story out fastest.
Well, it's again, it's all about competition. It's all about money. When the competition got bigger and bigger, then people had to start competing for the more grandized news story.
Yeah.
And then you get such polar opposite reactions because that's what gets views. You want your Fox viewers to think one way. You want your,
Well, and you just want discourse. You just want arguments. People want conflict. I've said that numerous times.
Because it spurs...
People want something
money.
to talk about.
Money.
Yeah, money, but it also spurs conversation, and people want to have a different view for whatever reason. People just don't like to have the same views.
Well, and that's, I think that capitalism that kind of has set the structure for all of our social hierarchy and stuff. But the, social media is a big part of that, in wanting to have your own stage and think differently and radically from everyone else, and be the person who said it first, or said it the most, or said it loudest, and be the figurehead for whatever topic you're discussing, and the comment thread, and
or gets the most thumbs up or likes or
most likes,
shares.
most comments. You kind of
people liked my voice better than your voice.
Mm-hmm. You look excited, get some endorphins going from likes and comments.
Oh, for sure. It's just like smoking a joint or doing cocaine or going out for a run or
running,
bathing in the sun, whatever. Yeah, you get that endorphin rush, and that's the pleasure system of our brain. That's the whole reason we pick up this phone, 125 times a day, is to get that little endorphin rush. Oh, somebody messaged me, somebody emailed me, somebody said hi to me, somebody liked my post.
Mm-hmm. It's all a drug.
It is. We are all just looking for pleasure whatever way we can get it.
Yep. It's everybody. Everybody's got something. Whether it's eating or your phone or
right.
TV, running, even the healthy stuff can be a drug.
Yeah.
We were just talking about this, but runners are like they're like crackheads, man.
They are. And yeah, we talked about earlier that, because I did 21 years in physical therapy. You're doing athletic training as well. So we see it all the time that people just don't want to listen to when you tell them, hey, you just need to take 3 weeks off and, stretch and just kind of massage and work this tissue out and just stay off of it and don't put the stresses on it. You're like, oh, really? 3 weeks? Can I just do 2 weeks? Can I maybe do a week and a half? Do I have to quit all running? Can I run on grass and maybe not just run on gravel?
Mm-hmm.
Can I run in the sand? No, I said no running for 3 weeks.
You can't.
You can't do it.
You can't run.
But they want to do it because they need that pleasure, that synapses in their brain that says, releases that endorphin and says, oh man, I feel good. But you're not going to feel good. It's going to hurt. You're going to feel good for a brief second, and then you're going to feel worse. And now you got to wait 4 weeks instead of 3 weeks because you fucked it up.
Well, and now they're saying that if you avoid the movement altogether, then it's not good psychologically. So then it's not good physically because those things go hand in hand. But you have to do something to decrease, the load of whatever movement you're doing, because that's what got you hurt in the first place, and they just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I even hear from spouses of runners and stuff that they're just neurotic when they're not running, and like this whatever injury they have has made them a totally different person because they can't run, and it gets crazy, dude. They go through withdrawals and it's nuts.
Yeah, it's almost like quitting smoking. I mean, I remember when I was trying to quit smoking, what was it, 2003 or something, I think, what it was. I started taking Chantix because, you read all these things, Chantix that help you quit smoking. It also maybe help you commit suicide. But, yeah, I wasn't getting those endorphins anymore from smoking that cigarette, and the Chantix was making me a complete asshole. And I remember my ex-wife, your mother, told me I had to stop taking Chantix because I was a complete asshole. I was mean. I was not in a good mood. I was very agitated all the time. But yeah, it took that endorphin away from me. Just like when you tell somebody to stop running, they get agitated. Same thing.
Yep.
But yeah, you're right. It used to be back in the day, somebody, my back hurts. Oh, I got a backache. Oh, my back is just killing me. Oh, well, lay down in bed for 2 weeks and don't do anything. And that's like, now, that's the worst thing you could do.
Worst thing, yeah.
Yeah, you still got to keep moving. You got to do something, but you got to do something that doesn't elicit pain. You got to just work around that pain threshold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your brain.
Find a different movement, a different way to move without eliciting pain.
Right, your brain thinks something's abnormal, so if you increase that abnormality by not doing what you usually do, then your brain's like, oh, we were right. You really are hurt, and it just increases all the signals that you were getting before.
Yeah.
It's a fun field. It's definitely a fun field. A lot of complexity.
Well, what do you even do? Nobody even knows what you do.
Oh, well, technically, I do train athletes, but I don't have the title of athletic trainer. I'm a physical fitness trainer in Flagstaff, Arizona for Paragon Athletics, which is a mom and pop shop that opened up about 8 years ago. And we pride ourselves in trying to be the best at what we do, and what we do is help athletes, including the general population, because everyone should be athletic if you want to be any kind of physically active and have control of your body throughout life. Try and help all those people be stronger, better, pain-free, or get out of pain when they get into pain. So that's what I do.
What's that Kanye song? Faster, better, something stronger. Is that Kanye? Is that?
I don't think we base our principles off of Kanye West.
No.
It might be an applicable song, yeah.
I think he's getting a divorce.
We saw that on One Magazine at the grocery store.
Star Magazine or National Enquirer or something. Yeah, I think Kim's leaving.
If you heard it here first, yeah, Kanye and Kim.
People are on their phones right now. What?
Oh,
what's going on with Kanye and Kim?
Are you serious?
But yeah, that's cool. So how long have you worked for Paragon? Did you work there before you even graduated? Did you intern there or something? Or?
Yeah, it was my internship for my fitness wellness degree. And when I got there, they were doing a bunch of cool stuff that I had never even heard about. A lot of research and stuff that just no one delves into in the fitness field. It was more reserved for the clinical field, but the owner is very passionate about learning everything he can about biomechanics and kinematics, and just thinking about the body in the most scientific way possible, and learning all the new techniques and stuff. So I got there, and within 3 months, I knew more than I did in 4 years of my degree program.
Really?
And
do some fitness or nutrition or both?
A little bit of nutrition. We've always been kind of self-taught in terms of nutrition and just experimenting on ourselves and that type of stuff. So nutrition was kind of something I was already kind of familiar with. I honed in on it a little bit because it's a husband and wife who own it, and the wife is big into nutrition and actually did a lot of nutrition for the county, and then the husband is all the physical stuff. So learned a little bit of that, but mostly biology, anatomy, biomechanics, and a bunch of stuff that I had never thought about, a bunch of nuance and different things that people are doing that don't matter, or that matter more than people think they do, or different stuff like that. So I learned all of that and decided, if I can't go anywhere else, I'm not going to get this kind of exposure anywhere else. So, after I graduated, I kind of asked him, do you think I can stay on? And they had already decided that they were going to hire me after I graduated anyway. So, worked out. Now I work there. I'm one of 3 trainers, including the owner, and then the owner's wife is, the second owner is the nutritionist. So,
right.
Yeah, it's been a great experience, and I've learned how to help a lot of people, and learned a bunch of different ways of thinking about the body and fitness and how to do things a certain way. So.
Now, I've mentioned it a few times. I've done a couple ads for the place over there, and just going off the top of my head what I thought I knew, but is it mostly geared toward climbers out there, or is it just anybody, open up to any background whatsoever? I thought it was more like climbers and ultra runners or something, right? Or is that a specialty niche?
The owners are climbers, and he actually moved to Flagstaff for climbing because it was about 8 hours or so away from all the good climbing. It was a pretty central location. So a lot of the stuff is
Flagstaff is 8 hours away from all the good climbing?
Yeah. Or a lot of good climbing, not all of the good climbing, but
okay.
So he does have a lot of good knowledge on climbing, and we have a climbing specific class, and we train a lot of climbers, but we also do a lot of ultra marathon runners. Pretty much just because the clientele is we just want to help everyone and educate people on current practice and how to use their bodies and how to be more efficient in their lives with their bodies, and do it in a way that's not trying to sell our own egos and have a special technique or prescribe to some special program, but try and keep evolving with the times and help as many people as we can. But because we're in Flagstaff and it's such a big sports community, there's a lot of climbers and mountain bikers and ultramarathon runners and river guides and anything you think of in terms of athletics. Flagstaff is kind of a central hub for all of that. So by that process, we get a lot of athletes. And so that's a majority of our clientele, but we also have just classes to make people pain-free and better at what they do with their bodies. So we deal with a lot of athletics, yeah. But again, the athletic trainers and stuff have a higher degree program to reach for in terms of a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, and it's kind of separated in terms of how we value athletics over other things. But the things that the coaches and the trainers in college and professional athletics, the things that they know shouldn't be exclusive. They should be handed down to the general population, because those are the things that better people in their day-to-day lives. And so we try to give people that without kind of you don't have to be an athlete to have this type of attention. You can just come to a class and come to our facility and get the same attention that an athlete gets, and work right next to an athlete and be strong and healthy. So we try and take the principles of that have usually been reserved for the clinical practice and athletics, and we try and just give it to everybody, and just be the best we can in musculoskeletal work.
Yeah.
So.
And do you do pediatrics and geriatrics too, or is there a certain age group kind of that comes in there, 18 to 50 or something? Or
we do anyone who comes in, really. I mean, if we've had we have high schoolers, and there was a kids class at one point, and we have a number of people in their 70s and 80s that come. So it's kind of a mix. I'd say the majority of the population are in their 30s and 40s probably, and a lot of them are either recreational athletes in terms of they run the big races and climb and whatever, but they're not they don't make money off of it. They don't have any kind of professional career in there. They're just recreational. And then we also have the people who are kind of big names in their sport and come train with us. So we get the whole gambit. I'd say that's probably the majority of our clients, but we get young, old, everybody.
Right. And then at one point you were doing, I don't know if you're still doing this or not. You, meaning you or the Paragon, but you were doing some, I don't know if it was personal training for the fire department or just a program for them, like a fitness program, just in general for their annual fitness test or something.
Yeah, I wrote a grant for the fire department, trying to be their basically person for training that they allocate money to, so that they can send people to train with us. We were going to be the idea was the people who couldn't make the fitness test. You get, I think, 2 tries after you don't make the fitness test, at least in Arizona. So those people would get 6 months of. We would be the people that they get 6 months of training with, and then if they didn't pass their test, they'd try again and pass their test after the 6 months of training. So that's what I wrote a grant for, and we put it in, and they went with a package that was a little more well known in the tactical field across the nation, which we thought, why not go local? And we thought we had a pretty good chance, and we had a couple ins with the fire department. So we didn't end up getting the contract, but we still train a lot of firefighters within Flagstaff. Do you think we don't have a lot of our focus isn't getting big, getting fucking ripped? Our focus isn't losing weight. Those are all kind of side effects of the goal we try to achieve, which is making you healthy, making you more your body awareness more stable, making you just a better, more efficient, more robust at being a human being. And that way of thinking, because of the training we do, we don't have any barbells, we don't have squat racks. We have a set of kettlebells, some dumbbells. We use a lot of unorthodox training tools, and we get very creative with our movements, and everything's very intentional and scientific. And because of that, because we're so far away from the common mark, a lot of ego, which I don't say this with any kind of resentment, but a lot of ego doesn't succeed in our gym. So a lot of firefighters, police officers, the big guys who have come from CrossFit usually just can't hang just because of the way we program. We do these really small or minuscule movements that these big guys just can't do.
Right, static movements and dynamic stuff.
They can't hold themselves in these
bands
positions.
and ropes and
right. And
balance and
a lot of fun stuff, a lot of creative stuff, and we think that's good for you, movement variability. But it's not pushing 350 over your head or any of that stuff. And if you can push 350 over your head and you can't even lift a 10-pound dumbbell in this certain position, then you get kind of frustrated. And so we don't have you won't see that many big people in the gym. And then because of that, we're also a little intimidating. If you go on our Instagram, you see some of our posts. A lot of it's very medicinal, a lot of it's very simple and just wants to help your joints and whatever. And then there are some posts that you see that are a little intense, and it's like, oh man, that gym is kind of crazy. I don't know if I can go there. So we don't have a lot of timid people, and we don't have a lot of egotistical people. So we have a very specific group that comes to Paragon. But to answer your question, no, we did not train the fire department.
Right, but you get a chance to recompete for that, or do you guys even care to even try that again, or what? I mean, is that like a year contract they're on with this other company, and they'll put that out for bid again next year or something, or what?
Yeah, they reset it. They reallocate the funds towards other things if things come up, or they just go towards the one they already had. But we're always trying. We're a small business. We're always trying to find avenues to grow, and so right now we're kind of taking the path of getting really involved in the people that we train in terms of professional athletics. We're hosting more workshops with them, and just trying to use our connections in the athletic world to try and expand out. So I don't think we'll focus on that in the next few years, but we might circle back at some point. Yeah.
Now, what about I guess NAU athletics has their own group of trainers, right? I mean, There's no way you could kind of get involved with those types of guys. The football team, lacrosse, whatever
No,
sports you
no.
play out there, they got their own stuff going on.
Yeah, collegiate sports is totally standardized, and I mean, they tell you what to do. You go. It's very.
I mean, people come in on their own on their off time and train with you guys, but
They could, but they have such structured schedules that it's not likely. Yeah, and we don't really cater to the college crowd. We do have some people that are going to NAU. A lot of them in their master's programs, not their bachelor's, but we're kind of far away from the university in terms of Flagstaff. Nothing's really far away, but so we don't get a lot of the college crowd. You know, sometimes I'll tag NAU athletics in our videos and stuff just to show them what we're doing, because I've heard a lot of stories from some clients that are back to Flagstaff for the summer and go to college somewhere else, and so they come to us for training because they're out of season, and just heard a lot of stories about the kind of coaching and the kind of training that's done in some of the colleges in the country, and it's not
like a bench press, a deadlift, and
right.
a squat.
It's not very good. And so we think that we could be of value to those types of things, but in terms of the politics of, you know, they hire people for all of that, so they use them. They don't, and then they have to go to class as well as do all this training, so it's kind of like they don't leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that'd be cool.
Yeah. And I'm just trying to think of other avenues, but I'm sure you guys have thought of all of it.
Yeah, we're trying, man. We're trying. But it's a good time. It's a good time. And
they've been open how long?
Oh, about 8 years, I think, maybe close to 9.
Yeah. Now, is that what you? I'll be honest, I can't even remember. Is that what you went to school for originally?
No.
It wasn't, right?
No. Well, I went to school to fuck off.
Right.
I didn't go for any particular. I just wanted to go for the experience. I didn't really have anything in mind to.
Right. Your friend was there.
Come out with. Yeah, I was going to go to Clemson actually, and then their application fee was $60, and I was like, I don't really want to do that. Had to write an essay. So I was kind of holding off on that, and I had already applied to NAU just as kind of like a put it in there and see what happens type thing, because my buddy was a year ahead and already there, and they got in as soon as I was about to, turn in an essay for Clemson, and I got in, and I was like, oh, well, fuck it. I got in, I'm not going to apply anywhere else.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be a good experience. And then I went for anthropology, because it's the study of people. Yeah. I thought that was cool. And I was...
But you're kind of still doing a study of people.
Yeah, it's kind of still a study of people. And I use a lot of anthropology, actually, in the research that we look at. There's a lot of anthropology in terms of how the body has evolved to move, what we know about how people lived and moved, centuries ago. So there's actually some good reading and stuff that relates anthropology to fitness, which is kind of cool. But I was also a religious studies minor, and I still love studying religions and philosophy and all that stuff. But it wasn't going to get me anywhere. So then I became a screenwriting major, which was awesome. And I still like thinking about that stuff, but again, wasn't going to get me anywhere. So a few classes of that, and then eventually settled because, we had started doing Spartan races, and, we'd always been, I wouldn't say athletic, but we'd always been interested in fitness and stuff. So,
I mean, I would call it athletic. I mean, not really like big-time sports or whatever, but, I mean, we were always doing something as far as fitness goes, whether it be hiking, running, jumping, sliding, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, workouts on a football field. Just nothing specific. We never really hit something. I mean, you had your running and stuff, but I never really had anything specific. I always come back to, boxing and martial arts and stuff. That's the thing I kind of like, but we never really had a sport track. But, I still liked it, and I worked out every day and, liked thinking about it. And so I thought, I do this every day already. I might as well just learn more about it at the very least, and then see what could happen afterwards. So, and then I got my internship, and it just kind of fell that way. So, yeah, that's where I am.
Very cool. And then to kind of tie all this in, so we run a page together, the Keto Dojo. Talked about it many times on Facebook. Yes, it's on Facebook. I say that all the time. So yeah, I am what they call the sensei of the Keto Dojo. Brian here is one of the admins on the page, along with Karen over there at Craft Conundrum, which we just went there today. We'll talk about maybe what we did yesterday and today here sometime. But so to tie all that in, so I've made a couple ads about the Keto Dojo on the last few shows or whatever that I would like to see it evolve, and I would like to see it change. I mean, it started off as just a page about the Keto Dojo and it's just a ketogenic diet. Slowly have kind of incorporated things about intermittent fasting, extended fasting, dry fasting, all these different things about fasting. I throw some science out there and some knowledge and some videos about the carnivore diet. I mean, there's so many different things. What do you feel like that page should become, or where would you like to see it go? How would you like to see it change, or should it change? Should it be additions, subtractions? Should it go away altogether?
I mean, nutrition is the same as fitness, and what Paragon is trying to do is kind of similar to what you're talking about with the Keto Dojo. It's kind of evolving with the times and realizing that all of these standards and these structures that we've put into practice with Atkins and ketos and paleo and Whole30 and all of these labels on these structured kind of diets are inherently flawed because everyone's individual. Everyone's no one's streamlined into a program. That's just not how it works. And so Paragon approaches that in a very physical manner, and I think the Keto Dojo should approach that in the same way, and in kind of an evidence-based approach. There's a lot of things about and you're just putting it out there, not saying that you have to prescribe to one or the other, making it more of a self-exploration page than a dogma, you know what I mean? Like, some people work with the carnivore. There are men and women, which with the stuff I know, I wouldn't think that women would do well with the carnivore diet, but there are people who have success on the carnivore diet in both genders, so that's cool. There are people who have success in keto, men and women. But
I mean, we just saw something earlier today that I read that this doctor, what was it we were looking at? We were looking at some web page or some website or no, it was two people that are on Joe Rogan's show here just recently, last week or whatever, that the guy is all about the plant-based diet, so
right.
So many different thoughts out there.
There's so many, and it all, there are parts of everything that make sense. I think keto makes sense. I think the carnivore diet makes sense in terms of, something else processing nutrients for you that you just eat as one thing. I think that plant-based diet makes sense. There's a lot of people who are on the micronutrients diet right now. That's one of the things that a lot of hospitals are doing is not worrying about exactly specific foods, but more about the micronutrient content of each food and leveling off all of your micronutrients and
micronutrients being minerals and vitamins.
Right, yep. Exactly, and taking. Basically profiling your micronutrient count and saying, all right, you need this type of berry, you need spinach, and you need this, whatever, and you need a cup of that each day, and really making it very specific, which I think is the way everything needs to be. I think you just pick and pull from all these different methods and figure out what works. If you have the money, get a genetics test on where you come from and what the people in that region ate, and then go through an elimination diet. And that's where I think everyone should kind of start. If you have the money, do your genetics. But if you don't have the money, just do an elimination diet, which really is just a elimination program. I don't know if I'd call it a diet because it's supposed to be short-lived. But basically, it's the process of taking things. And this isn't my idea. This is
it's still a diet. Diet is just the way that you eat.
Right, but it's a temporary.
Diet is not a thing. It's just the way that you eat.
Right. Yeah, and ideally, your diet would just be a consistent way of eating. That's kind of what it should be. But in terms of figuring out where you should go, how best to proceed with being healthy in general, because I don't think anyone should hyper-focus on weight loss. I think it's just like with fitness, I think it should be a side effect of something you're doing right and not the goal. The goal should be feeling better and living better as a
right. Weight gain is just a symptom of something that you're doing wrong.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So weight loss should be a.
It should just be a symptom of something you're doing right. Yeah, and you should feel good before you look good. I think, and feel good in a actual real way. You can feel good with drugs and all this other stuff, but feeling good in a health sense is what I mean. But so starting with something other than the symptom, starting with figuring out what you specifically need, and I think that's through a genetics test, or you can do this kind of an elimination diet. Figure out what you need and what you don't need. A lot of people, just because of the way the world is, the population, the amount of genetic variation, the amount of different foods that are being produced via, I wouldn't say unnatural methods, because I don't really like that. I don't think there's like chemicals and stuff that people put in food, but it's not like crazy, so I don't like to say unnatural, but there are things that people have grown sensitive to. All of these the fads of gluten-free and celiac and lactose and all this stuff that is coming out that some people say you're just not healthy enough to process that stuff, or it's all a lie. It's just a made up, political thing for the food companies. But I think it's all,
or it's just an evolutionary change. Just like we don't need our wisdom teeth anymore, we don't need an appendix anymore, we don't need our tonsils anymore. Mm-hmm. Just things have evolved, and we don't need that gluten, variation. Lactose, and, whatever.
So with that, and these things don't have to be very prominent either. You don't have to be celiac to get some inflammation from eating gluten. Right. It doesn't have to be a very outward thing. You don't have to shit your pants every time you eat dairy.
Yeah, people use that as the end all be all. If you don't have a celiac disease, go ahead and eat all the gluten you want to.
Right. And if you don't have stomach issues, then you're not dairy intolerant. But there's minute changes. There's brain fogginess. There's joint ache. There's a bunch of other things that can happen that you really don't realize in your day-to-day stress. That's just happening and compiled with everything else, with work and all this stuff. You just don't notice it. So I always go through the door of find out, eliminate some options to help you garner where you should be. Either get a genetic test or do an elimination diet where you don't eat anything that has the possibility of being inflammatory. So basically, you just cut it down to meat and vegetables.
And that's kind of what I've always done with people when I start them off on the keto diet. I've said, look, don't make it complicated. And it's kind of an elimination diet in itself, I guess, because I tell people just go out, just get you some eggs and some bacon and some sausage and some grass-fed butter, maybe some coconut oil, and that's it. Eat that for 2 weeks, and then come back and see me and let me know how you feel. And probably a lot of it, they feel better because they've eliminated just a whole bunch of other inflammatory crap out of their diet that they didn't even realize they had, whether it be fiber, whether it be gluten, whether it be lactose, all those kind of things. And just because they've changed their diet and they're not eating all those sugars and carbs and those inflammatory properties as well. So
right. And with that, journaling is a big thing, which, it's hard for a lot of people. It's hard for me to do. I can talk about this stuff all day, putting it into practice is a different thing. But journaling and knowing your eating habits, knowing when you get tired during the day, knowing when you feel the hungriest, how many times you ate, how much of it you ate. And, I don't like to focus on numbers, but at first, overeating is a very big problem. Portion
very
control,
taxing on your system.
Yeah, and the timing of when you eat, isn't as important for general diets, but if you're looking to do something physically, really physical, then the timing of your diet's important.
Well, there's some people out there that advocate that, like Rhonda Patrick, right? Dr. Rhonda Patrick does the circadian rhythm type eating and things like that, where you shouldn't. I don't remember all the specifics on it, but you can look it up. There's something about the circadian rhythm that you're supposed to eat based on the sunset and the sun going down, or sun coming up, sun going down type thing. What was the other point I was going to make off of that? The 6-hour window and 8-hour window diets, where you should only eat within a certain window of time type thing. And the 1 meal a day is a big thing now. But anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt. But
yeah, so I think just the keto diet should be more about exploration than it should be about dogma telling someone what to do. It should be more a page of, hey, this is the newest thing that's out, or the newest research, or the newest video from a doctor, whatever. They say this.
And that's the key, not just the newest thing that somebody put out there.
Right. Not the newest
something
fad.
that's been documented and that's been tested and people are having success with it, whatever.
Exactly. And you can test for keto, you can test for paleo, and all these things have successes and failures, and that's fine. But just putting it all out there and having your own, in a post, put something out, a video that says, here's more research from Dr. blah, blah, blah on the keto diet, saying this, and this. I think it could apply. You could pull from this, as everyone else is saying, that ketones are inherently good for you, and then nitpick a little bit of the research and be like, but their population size was only this big, and their placebo wasn't that great. So just giving people the tools, I think, and letting them figure it out for themselves is a better way of approaching. And it seems kind of like just a broad thing, like, oh, you're just throwing darts at everything and trying to help people that way. But it's really not, because that's what everything is. You're your own individual. So synthesize the information and put it in a place where people can digest it. And then if they have questions, they can ask you, and you can try and be an authority. And then, they kind of just do it on their own with the sense that they have a community that's trying to do the same thing.
Right. But I think the two main constants, right? I mean, at least for right now, in this time frame that we're in it right now, are low carb is good. I mean, I think everybody can agree on that, right? That the lower the carbohydrates and the sugars, the less the inflammation, the less the glucose, the less the insulin spikes, whatever. And that, like you already mentioned, we should probably eat less. We're stuffing our face all day long and taxing our system and stressing it out, where we should just give it a break and let the body work on other stuff and fix other ailments that you got going on instead of always just digesting food. Mm-hmm. You got to let your body work out some other shit too.
Well,
and repair some cells and repair some neurons in the brain and just kind of refresh things and recycle stuff within the body. But if you're always taxing it with digestion, that's all it ever does.
Yeah, well, and that is a huge factor, I think. And if you look at a lot of European countries and Asian countries, that's the case. I went abroad to Italy for a while, and their breakfast was at most a croissant and a cappuccino, but usually just like coffee. And then they might have like a small panini for lunch, and then their dinners are huge, and that's where they get a majority of their calories and their nutrients is from their dinner. And I think it's similar in other countries.
And then it's the camaraderie too at that dinner, right? I mean, it's the social aspect of that dinner too that I think is a healthy aspect compared to what we do over here sometimes. Just running through a fast food drive-through or something. They're sitting down in a community and talking and interacting with other people, and I think that's important.
Right, and there's
from a health standpoint.
There's a lot of things where you could say that that's kind of just a general wellness trend, and when you look at there's a lot of factors that go into sitting around the table eating with people in terms of talking between bites and drinking and sitting before you eat again, and I don't know. There's a lot of factors with sitting around the table, not just the interaction with people, but just how you're eating in terms of the interaction. So I would be interested to see if everything was kind of mapped out in that situation, to see if there's any research on because you're in a social situation, you take fewer bites, or you eat slower, or you chew more, or something like that. But I definitely do think, and I like to kind of look at all the views of why things could work, even if you don't have research behind it. But looking at I'm very interested in evolution and how people got to where they are today. And if you think about evolution, and you think about kind of third world tribes that are still out there today, and compare them to what people would have been back in the day, eating less is kind of just what happened. I mean, you didn't have the resources to have all of this food and have the amount and the time to consume what you have now. So if you look at it that way, then yeah, eating less is kind of, it makes sense, because that's what people were doing. And people say, oh, that was years ago, it has no bearing on today, but I mean, it does. It's
absolutely
how you developed. and a lot of the variation we're seeing right now is because we don't have as small of a population size. Everything's not as distilled as it was before in terms of how humans are made and survive longer and have more of a population. So there's a lot of things that are different now, but it all stems from a certain process that happened back then. So and you can look, and then people will say you can look 100 years ago, before we had a lot of the factories that we do now producing food, and you can say that when we were more of a farmland type of people, people weren't as big, and that's true. And there's just a lot of factors. You got to think about everything. You got to think about tribes back thousands of years ago, and you got to think about farmers back 100 years ago, and you got to compare it to in the industry now and all of the factories and producing all of these sugary, chemical ridden foods, and the stress of our lives, the sociology, the community. There's a lot of factors that play into nutrition and the theories on nutrition, which I don't necessarily think people should think about. People like us who are interested in it should think about it. The people who just want to be better, I think that's ultimately our role is, since we like to think about it, we make it easier for other people to digest, because everything I just said is something to think about in terms of nutrition, but no one wants to do that.
Right, and as a society, we shouldn't have to make people think about it. We should produce a society that just gives people the stuff that they need to be healthy. We shouldn't. But we're a capitalist society, so people want to make money, and they're going to put stuff out there that's maybe not healthy or whatever that people don't need, but they want to sell it. And I think as a society, we need to kind of grow, and we need to try and figure out how to eliminate some of the unnecessary, carve away those unessentials, as we say sometimes, and as a society, help each other to be a healthier society, and I think it's going to help everybody in the long run.
Well, and that's the thing. That's what's hard is we are a capitalist society. Everything stems from capitalism. I mean, the state of education, the state of health, everything about the nation stems from capitalism. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think capitalism helps in a lot of ways. I think free market and competition is kind of what drives innovation and got us where we are today. But now that we're all very comfortable due to capitalism, we're all very almost complacent with the way things, and not complacent, saying I'm not undervaluing like minority populations and stuff, but I'm just saying that we're very technologically advanced and more so than a lot of third world countries for sure. And so now that capitalism is kind of being critiqued as, maybe this is kind of a shitty thing. Maybe we should figure out how to change it. And usually that response is socialism all the way, which, some socialist ideas are, well, that's what they are, is ideals, right? Socialism is basically saying everyone should be happy and be free and have equal money and equal pay and all that stuff, and which is all very idealistic and sounds great in theory because we're humans and we want to have ideals, but can't have it that way. So I think there is a balance that we have to strike between keeping the thing that's been working for 100 years, hundreds of years in this society, but improving upon it. I don't think you can get rid of it all the way. I think capitalism is something that's necessary, a necessary evil for the growth of the nation and society in general. But I do think that it has its flaws, and that's something to think about in terms of making something new. Not necessarily tearing it all away, but adding to it.
Right.
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of balanced already. We have socialist programs, but we also still have capitalism. But I think it's probably a good, I don't know if I was to put a number to it, 70-30 mix, 70% capitalism, maybe 30% social programs.
I'm not gonna sit here and say that I'm in any way versed in politics. Mm-hmm. I don't have. It's not something that interests me in general. It interests me in the way that people interact with it. In that sense, it's very interesting. But
it's super interesting if you're looking through a window as an experiment type thing to watch people.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but what I have kind of observed, and again, I don't know all the policies. I don't know what's going on, but a socialism. My wife's in education. Shout out to my wife, love her very much, Megan Dales.
Hey, shout out.
And she's in education. She obviously has a lot of opinions and a lot of thoughts on the way it's run, especially in Arizona, which, if you don't know, has pretty shitty education. They don't value their education system. But anyway, we were talking about No Child Left Behind at one point.
Yeah, earlier today.
And and Megan and I were talking about it.
Oh, okay.
And, we were saying that it's kind of a socialist agenda that's kind of like make every kid come out equal in terms of school. And we've seen what it's kind of done to the education system. I mean, everyone's kind of moving more towards charter schools and public schools because the charter schools and private schools, because the public education system just isn't working anymore. We allocate money to where everything's too spread out, everything's too far apart, trying to reach everybody, trying to get kids all to the same level, and there's no competition. And so we were talking about, how can the education system change? How can it improve? And I just went back to the capitalist thing, like make schools compete. If education was state run and people from Arizona went to Colorado, and Colorado was like, people valued employees and stuff that got education in Colorado, then Arizona would be like, oh, we need our people to be, on the same caliber as Colorado. They'd start to compete, right? They'd start to be like, well, look, people are valuing Colorado citizens more than Arizona citizens, so maybe we should beef up our education system, allocate more state funds to the education system and paying teachers and having good practice.
I mean, that's the way it's kind of been with, standardized testing and stuff forever. I mean, people compare SAT scores from one school to the other and all this kind of stuff.
SAT scores, yeah, but I mean, which
I don't think is a good benchmark of education anyway, but the SAT, the
right.
ACT.
Well, and I wasn't talking about necessarily testing, but more so, and you never, you were bad at school, so you never really talked about school, but
I wasn't bad at school. I just was bored at school.
You just didn't care about it.
I just didn't like it, yeah.
But, Mom would talk about an English teacher that she loved really a lot in high school, and she would talk about what she.
Even my hatred for school. I've got a good handful of teachers that I could look back and say they influenced my life, and they helped me. Maybe not through an education, through math or Spanish or whatever, but just as a person, they influenced me and they helped my life, put it on a trajectory, on a path that they don't realize they even did.
Right.
And it wasn't through standardized education. It was through just being a person.
Right. And that's something, I think that's off the topic I was going towards. That's something altogether, which is pay the right people, pay them well, and pick good people. The state of education right now is that people who want to be teachers are sometimes not in it for the goal of bettering the next generation. They're in it for the ease or the summers off or, whatever. But my point was, I don't think it should be necessarily standardized testings, like in that terms of, comparing SAT scores and the way you compare employees state to state in this, hypothetical model. But it would be more so, the teacher Mom's talking about, she would talk about her and her way of teaching, and it was nothing that my English teacher was teaching. And this is post 9/11, so we were already in the No Child Left Behind era, but it was what my English teachers taught was all standard. All the books you read, everything, you had to hit certain marks, and it was all to go towards the SAT or to go towards the ACT. And the way Mom talked about her teacher was she had a passion. She knew a lot about everything, grammar and whatever. But she had a kind of a passion for poetry or something like that, and that's kind of what her teaching all kind of filtered through. And it touched people in different ways, and you got a certain view of English from that teacher that you wouldn't necessarily get from another teacher in another high school. And I think that that's lacking in the education system right now is variety, and people actually caring. I think that's reserved for higher ed now. I think college, everyone kind of is like, if you're really passionate about a subject like history or English, you go get your bachelor's and master's and you teach at the college level, because you're not gonna make any kind of change or progress or be intellectually intellectually successful or happy in high school because you just don't get to be that way.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, so cut and dry. I mean, you have no leeway as
Yeah.
far as your lesson plan and what you can do and what you can say.
Mhm.
You're strong-armed, you're handcuffed, you're whatever.
Right, and that's just one of the points. We were also talking about medicine and healthcare, and we're, for those of you who don't know, Flagstaff's very liberal, surrounded by conservatives, which I don't care. There are smart conservatives, there are smart liberals, there are dumb conservatives, there are dumb liberals. I don't care. But she really likes socialism, and I like some of socialism, but I also like capitalism. And so we were talking about how everyone should have access to care.
What about communism?
You know what? I haven't read a lot about it. Jackie Chan loves it.
There's some good things.
Jackie Chan loves it. And I love Jackie Chan, so maybe I'm a communist. But we were talking about it, and we kind of decided that there should be more of a middle ground, because I don't necessarily agree that everyone should get the full package. Everything's free. I think that system is flawed in the way that there's a waiting list, and maybe you don't get as quality of doctors as you would. And I've seen firsthand in my field that you can get people who have titles that don't know what they're doing. And so if you're hiring those type of people just because you need to fill spots in a socialist program, then I don't think that's any better than where you are right now. Mm-hmm. So we basically got to the point in our discussion where we said, okay, there needs to be some kind of middle ground, and I think that's true for everything. I think maybe preventative health is socialized. Maybe going to gyms and psych evaluations and therapy and the stuff that kind of checks you out, gives you some information, makes you a little better physically, makes you a little better mentally. Maybe that type of stuff is socialized. Maybe emergency health is socialized, and maybe the bigger stuff, the stuff you have to wait on, like, big diseases, cancer, stuff like that, maybe that stuff is capitalism. Who knows? And then there's another theory that you just, instead of trying to move away from capitalism, you dive further into capitalism. So, there's only a few companies who provide X-ray machines or MRI machines. Make more companies that provide cheaper or more efficient X-rays and MRI machines, and then the other companies who make you spend an arm and a leg on X-ray machines drive the prices down to compete with the other companies. And you just keep doing that for all medical equipment and all, everything that the medical community has, and you eventually have the result of capitalism, which is competitive prices. So I don't know, there's a lot of different working and again, I'm no poli-sci guy.
But I mean, it all, you mentioned middle ground earlier. I mean, it all comes back to kind of middle ground, right? I mean, we live in a world where it's always way over here or way over here. It's a big pendulum swing from one side to the other. We never kind of get to the balance in the middle. It's never a yin and yang balance. It's always one extreme or the other. Mm-hmm. And we went from one extreme with Obama, if we're talking politics, I guess, and now we're at the other extreme of Trump, and then we'll come back to another extreme of maybe Hillary Clinton. I don't know, who knows, but it's always one extreme or the other. We can never just kind of meet in the middle, and that's always been the big thing. Whether it comes to the Senate, the Congress, whatever, meeting in the middle and the shaking hands across the aisles and all that kind of stuff. It's always a talk about the middle, but we never get to the middle.
Right.
We're always on one side or the other.
No, it's just a product of human nature. Everybody's selfish.
Yeah. And I think that's the same thing, whether it's the education we're talking about, whether it's politics we're talking about, whether it's religion we're talking about, whether it's the diet we're talking about. You have to meet in the middle. There has to be middle ground that I think everybody can kind of stand on.
It does. For sure. I mean, and that's,
so how do we get everybody to get on that middle ground and live together harmoniously and in sync? And I
am convinced that there will always be a struggle like this. There's never going to be a utopia, and it's a product of just being selfish, being realizing we talk about this all the time, my friends and I, about there are certain things you have to realize, and I'm not going to say truths. That sounds super preachy. There are certain things about human nature, about nature in general, about the way life works, and I'm not talking about the politics, and I'm not talking about sociology and all these things. I'm talking about just life and strip everything away. There are certain things about life that you have to work around, and selfishness is one of those things. Being selfish, no one is as giving as they think they are. Everything is for your purpose, to make you feel good. Even if you're helping someone else, the product is your righteousness and your profit in some way.
To a lesser or more extent, based on each person, yeah. But
right, and because
there's always an end goal.
Because of that profiteering, because of that profiteering, there's never going to be a middle ground. I mean, it's all going to be I'm better than you, all across the board. It's going to be a higher thing. Someone subjugates another person, whether it's a big thing like a dictator or whatever, or whether it's a small thing like being a Republican against a Democrat. It's always going to be there in some capacity, just because no one agrees totally. No one agrees completely. There's never going to be a utopia of people who are like-minded. It's just always going to be the selfish needs of one person that's collectively put into a group. And
and again, we're all biologically different, so maybe it's not always, some people's minds are fucked up, and not to say that they're fucked up because they think differently than you think, but I think there's a thing where I don't think we do it on purpose, disagreeing with other people or having a left or a right brain or having a Democrat and Republican. I don't always think it's selfish or it's on purpose. Sometimes that's just the way your mind works. And you don't have the capacity to think the other way. Your mind only thinks one direction.
Definitely, I don't know what you want to bipartisan thinking or something like that is a trained thing. I mean, you got people like in Mensa, and then you got people that are, retarded, if you still can use that word. I don't know if you can or not. I can. I use it. You just have different mental capacities. Right.
Different ways of thinking.
Well, and there's different stages of learning, There's to think that way is something that you have to
it's culture, education level, genetics,
right.
Epigenetics.
Like, there was a time where I was very dogmatic. Some would still say I'm kind of pushy in terms of opinions, which I try not to be. So if I, if anyone ever accuses me that, I've tried to explain where I'm coming from in terms of my ideals, and I just try and operate in terms of not having an opinion until I try and ebb and flow with people in arguments and be devil's advocate more than preacher is where I.
Right, a lot of times I totally agree with the person, but I try and be a devil's advocate just to spur a different way of thinking. Right,
or you look at it from a different angle. Maybe I agree with you, but maybe I'm going to use this opportunity to think, to use you as a backdrop for me to think differently, for me to try and explore the complexity of this issue that maybe on my own I've never really put any thought to, but now that we're having a conversation, maybe I want to go the other way and see if I can find some other ways of thinking about it, even though I agree with you, 100% of the time.
Yeah, there totally could be a different angle that we're not even thinking about.
And that's just a process of discussion, man. That's just a process of not being on one track, and it annoys a lot of people, but...
And that's why things change. That's why we rewrite, textbooks every 5 years or whatever, because thoughts and ideals and science and stuff changes.
Yep. Real quick, shout out to my boy, Sean
Anderson.
Sean Anderson. It's my brother-in-law. He listens to this podcast. Shout out to my boy.
Sean's the man.
Love you.
Get some ecstasy, Sean.
Go do some drugs, Sean.
Yeah.
I'll do them with you.
And he's also in physical therapy. He's in the fitness industry.
He's nutrition. He has a degree in exercise science, and he is currently trying to apply to a few different PT schools. And he's doing well. learn a lot, and I try and get him to. We have a lot of discussion about the goal of fitness and the state of the industry, and it's kind of fun. Paragon. I've probably mentioned this. Paragon has a lot of criticisms of the state of physical therapy, which is a higher education than training. Obviously, training is more about certifications, although I have a degree. But we do take a lot of we are researching all the time and looking at different studies and trying to update our practice and all this stuff. So when we see people of a higher standard not up to par, we kind of get a little critiquey about it. And he's a budding PT trying to get into school right now, so he has a lot of thoughts on it as well. So it's kind of fun to rub minds and see where we get to in terms of opinions and how things should be. But yeah, just trying to get into PT school, and we're all just trying. It's such a complicated field. The whole health industry is just nothing is for certain right now. There are certain things about the body that you thought were fact, and I feel like the body is something that unlike politics and all these other things, it's something that you find infallible when you're learning about it, and you're like, oh, there's no way that this could be different than what I'm learning, because it's the body. Like, there's so much history behind learning about the body and all these facts and stuff. And then you get out and you start doing your thing and looking at research, and you realize that everything is up for questioning. Nothing's really solidified in terms of the way the body reacts to anything, or the structure. Even the forces produced by the body are constantly being rethought and changing, and muscle actions and all this stuff that's taught are being reworked, and so it's a complicated field. It's a fun field.
Yeah. And it's kind of like every other field or anything out there. I mean, everything is just evolving and changing, and I think a lot of it comes back to what you said a little while ago about the ego and just self-promotion, and it's all about money and fame and likes and whatever. And I think even within the human body and fitness and nutrition, that a lot of people go out there, scientists, educators, whatever, they'll put out certain studies and certain truths that are just to benefit themselves and to make a profit and whatever, and they didn't really put in the work, they didn't really put in the research, and they're just putting stuff out there that just quick, down and dirty, kind of like the news we talked about earlier, that they're not doing the fact checking, they're not doing their studies and their double-blind studies and their placebos and all this kind of stuff. They're just putting stuff out there without fully studying it, just because they want to be the first one to put out that publication or that study or whatever, to get that money or to get that grant or to get that notoriety or whatever. And then come, decades later, centuries later, we find out that guy was full of shit. He didn't put in the work. He didn't do the studies. He eliminated and dismissed all this other data over here and made just his data sound good. You know what I'm saying?
Cherry picking.
Cherry picking. And just like, Columbus Day is coming up, right, this week. Just like the same thing with Columbus Day. We thought we knew what we knew about Columbus and this great guy, and we find out maybe we shouldn't be celebrating Columbus Day. Maybe it wasn't the way we were taught in school. And I think that's the way with a lot of things, whether it's nutrition, whether it's science, whether it's religion, whatever. We have to question everything.
Oh, yeah. There are things that,
I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
They don't get critiqued. They don't get critiqued because for 30 years that's been the standard, and people have been like, this is just how it is. This is fact. An assessment or a test for, speaking in anatomical sense, in training and physical therapy. Certain practices that have been taught for 30 years, and people are like, this is just the process that you go through when you're in this situation. And now people are starting to question a whole bunch of things, and it's coming out that a lot of things are wrong, and a lot of things need to be modified, and some things are simpler than they appeared to be, and some things more complicated than they appear to be, and you've got to adjust, correct for the variables.
Yeah, it's like the 21 years I did in the Air Force. You go to a new base, and you go there, and people have all these, what we call operating instructions, or you had AFIs, Air Force instructions, or you had regulations back in the day, they used to call them. And they were just written instructions on how things were supposed to go. And, I'm kind of a forward-thinking guy. I'm kind of always kind of questioning stuff. And I would get to a new base, and somebody would say, okay, well, this is the way we do this. And I'd be like, well, why is that the way you do that? We didn't do that at my last base that way. Oh, well, that's just the way it's always been done. And that was always the answer. Every place I ever went to within the Air Force, and everybody that I know that was in the Air Force with me, anytime you went somewhere new, oh, that's just the way it's always been done. Okay, well, why? Is it the correct way it should be done? Has anybody looked and re-looked at it to see if it could be done better, or done it a different way, or we're doing it completely wrong for the past 10 years? And nobody ever asked those questions. People just had this thing written down, and they would go 100 years with that same operating instruction without ever questioning it, or ever revamping it, or ever updating it, or evolving it to fit with the times, or whatever, or to make sure they could do it smarter or more efficiently or whatever. But I always hated that answer.
Sounds like
that's the way it's always been done.
Sounds like Catholicism.
Yeah, that's true.
It's pretty much.
The new Pope got in there and said, "Well, we're going to do it differently now that I'm in here.
Gays are all right. And evolution's great."
Yeah, I don't care the way it's always been done. We're going to do it this way now.
Yeah, but we won't get into that. Whatever. This is South Carolina. I feel scared.
Yeah, let's not do that. I mean, Catholicism's not real big down here, but it's more kind of up north, I think. But that brings me to a topic that I wrote down in my notes.
Oh my God, the notes.
I've got the notes. I hate when people say bless you. I don't know why. When somebody sneezes, it seems like there's always 2 or 3 people in the crowd that are just waiting on that person to sneeze, waiting on somebody to sneeze so they can be the first person to say, God bless you, or bless you. And that person can say, well, thank you. And the same thing we've been talking about all day. People want that endorphin rush. They want that like. They want that thumbs up. They want that agreement. And they want to be that first person to say, bless you, so they can get that thank you from that person. They want to say, I gave them this bless you.
Oh, I don't do it. I don't acknowledge people that sneeze. Actually, my wife...
I do. It's situational for me. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
I don't ever. My wife gets mad at me for it. And I initiated this practice because I'm not very religious, and I thought it was kind of a stupid tradition. But now, I don't do it because I shouldn't be saying bless you to you. You should be saying excuse me to me. You know what I mean? You're the one sneezing everywhere. I don't give a fuck.
So they should be saying...
Yeah.
And I do that. When I sneeze, I say, oh, excuse me.
Right. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm not waiting to hear bless you. I'm sorry that I just spit.
But some people say bless me.
A bunch of different directions.
Some people say bless me when they sneeze. Bless me. And they wouldn't. Somebody say, oh, bless you.
Oh, that's true. Well, that's kind of southern.
Yeah. But I just say excuse me.
But...
Or I just sneeze.
I just think the whole thing's dumb. Bless you started as a fucking demon leaving your body or your heart will stop type thing, and it's all superstitious bullshit.
Right.
But
who gives me the right to bless somebody? I'm not ordained. I'm not a priest.
Right.
I'm not religious.
It's kind of disrespectful.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're a prick.
I can't bless anybody.
No, you can't do that.
I didn't go to school for that.
But regardless, if you're spitting in 5 different directions, excuse you.
Yeah. Excuse my mess. I just got you all sick. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not blessing you. Fuck you.
So no, I didn't want to get into a big discussion on that. But I just noticed that the other night. I was at work the other night, and somebody sneezed, and like 3 people all of a sudden said, bless you. Like as quick as, before the sneeze even finished leaving their mouth, they were like, oh, bless you. I'm like, man, people just want to be the first one to say bless you.
They do. And I'm raised Southern. I'm very polite. I say yes ma'am, no sir, unless I'm in certain situations where I think that they'll say, I don't like being called ma'am.
Right.
Then I don't do it, but for the most part, yes sir, no sir, thank you, you're welcome. But bless you, that's where I draw the fucking line.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
It was, what was that, a Seinfeld episode where Jerry said, it was a Jerry or Elaine, one of them says, they say, you're so good looking. That's what they say when somebody sneezes. They don't say bless you anymore.
Yeah.
You're so good looking. I think that's what it was. I don't know. Can't remember who said it. Seinfeld. Look it up.
Look it up. Yeah. That's yeah, same thing. It's a tradition thing. You were just talking about with the Air Force. That's a dumb tradition. Stop it.
Something we should get rid of.
Stop doing it. Or change it to excuse me, like I said. I think that's appropriate. Stop sneezing everywhere. Excuse you.
Yeah. We're an hour and 34 minutes already.
Yeah.
This thing's flying by, man. And usually we've only got, if this video is going to work, hold on a second.
Oh. You know, video works, video doesn't work.
Yeah, we've got 18 minutes left on the battery on the video, so.
Well, they can imagine.
But if it goes out, like we've always done before, you know, fuck these pesky cameras acting up again.
They can imagine it.
Type thing. But, I mean, if we don't have anything else to talk about, then we'll be gone. But
there's always stuff to talk about, man. Always. You know, we were just talking about the, speaking of, you know, Southern customs and being polite.
Get comfortable in this chair.
How fucking, you know, when I try and institute it, sometimes I'll do it in my neighborhood, we're in Flagstaff, but the amount of waves you get just walking down the street or in your car in the South.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Everybody kind of greets everybody.
Makes you feel good.
You don't get that in Arizona?
No.
Not at all?
Not at all. I mean,
I thought it'd be in a hippie town or whatever, it'd be a little bit like that too.
No, man. This preconceived notion that hippies are nice people, that's fucking wrong. Hippies are just as selfish and dumb as every other person. Just because they...
Wait a minute, I'm not selfish and dumb. What are you talking about?
You're not a fucking hippie.
Oh. Well, you said just as selfish and dumb as every other person.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't place a lot of bearing on humanity. But they are the exact same as everyone else. Just because you call yourself a hippie doesn't mean you're a good person. And just because you don't take a shower and wear deodorant doesn't make you holier than thou.
Yeah.
Yeah,
let's use deodorant, guys.
I don't hate hippies. They're not like a people that I don't like, but I'm just saying they're just like the rest of you. You think that, you know, California's nicer than South Carolina? It's different. It's not necessarily nicer. Yeah.
And I say that, totally off that subject, I say that, let's all wear deodorant, guys, but there are some people that have too much cologne that are worse than somebody that doesn't wear fucking deodorant.
Oh my God.
So it goes to one extreme or the other. Don't wear too much shit, but wear something. Kind of smell good.
We have a big...
That's why we designed all this stuff, because people stink.
We have a big Saudi population. A lot of people from Saudi Arabia come to get their education at Northern Arizona University.
Yeah.
And my God. Well, one, they do both, actually. So they don't wear deodorant, and then they wear a fuck ton of cologne.
Yeah.
And it is it's a bad combination. I don't like...
Oh, I was stationed in Iraq, I know.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Kuwait.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't like I don't like either by themselves, but together it's a whole nother thing.
It makes a whole new brew of funk.
It is rough, and I don't know what spurs that to happen. Like how are you not aware?
I think they're aware. I just think that that's the norm in that part of the country, and it doesn't smell bad to them. It's natural. Yeah. Just like I guess Italy and France and those type places, they don't wear deodorant as much as we do, or they're not as big on deodorant and colognes and stuff. They don't wear
the cologne. They like cologne, but they don't wear it. They don't drench themselves in it. And it's funny. Well, I guess it has to do with smell and how it kind of acclimates to whatever it's around. But I see these people out, especially...
And, I mean, how it interacts with your own pheromones.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, something that I put on my body will smell totally different. The same substance, the same amount of sprays will smell differently on your body.
Right. Well, it's working in a restaurant, you have people come in with a date, and these guys fucking, oh my God.
It's always the guys.
It's always the guys. And they smell horrible. I mean, if it was maybe a spritz on the wrist and the chest or something, they'd smell all right, but it's like all over.
Yeah, they just...
And then I've seen people on first dates, and I'm like, how is this girl not just completely unattracted to this guy? What's going on?
Yeah.
And, she probably gets acclimated to it as the night goes on because that's how your nose works. But that initial, come to the door, hey, Rob, what's up?
Yeah.
And you smell like a fucking cologne shop.
God, you're trying too hard, Rob.
Oh, my God, you're trying too hard. And then she's already there. She's got to deal with it. But by the time she's thought about calling her girlfriend, she's already gotten accustomed to the smell, and she's like, oh, this is fine. And so she doesn't end up, doing the emergency call. And then the second date, she realizes, oh, fuck, that's why I didn't like him. I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
It's because of his fucking
But, women think they can change men, so maybe they're thinking, okay, all right.
I'll just tell him. I'll tell him not to.
About the 5th date, I'm going to finally tell him, look, calm down on the cologne. Or let's go shopping for a new cologne for you. I have a new smell.
There you go.
Get him a new odor.
Sideswipe his brain.
Yeah. Get in there.
Yeah.
Get in there.
But it's a lot.
I mean, I've gone to movie theaters and I've moved.
Oh.
Roads
it is
because somebody had too much cologne on.
It's suffocating. And it's the same thing with very bad BO. And if you've been around someone, if you think you've been around someone who has bad BO just in everyday life, and then you're around someone who genuinely doesn't take showers, it is a difference.
Yeah. I was around somebody like that the other day that you could tell they hadn't had a shower in a month. And,
it is a unique...
You could smell them from 20 yards away, easily.
It develops like a fine wine.
Yeah.
That you do not want to drink.
Yeah, that's not a fine wine. That's a shitty wine.
Or it's a fine cheese. It
could be a fine cheese.
It's a fine cheese.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And I think women can have the same effect. I've had people walk by and I'm like, just stop. Stop placing your insecurities in your cologne. Let
me ask you
this. Perfume, I guess, is the...
Let me ask you this. I have a nose. I don't know why. I have a nose. I can tell, and I believe it's tampons, but I can tell when a woman is on the rag or she's having her period. I can smell.
Very outdated thing to say.
Is it outdated? Why is it outdated?
Oh, I don't know. On the rag just sounds fucking like a 70s.
What do you call it?
I don't know.
Just a period?
Just a period. It's the 21st century. Just be okay with your body. What you doing?
I mean, I'm not saying I'm okay with it. It's a natural thing. I'm just saying we're talking about smells. I can smell.
That's weird.
It is kind of weird. But
what are you saying? You're like a bear?
I'm like a bear. I'm like a bear. Not really. I'm not like a gay bear. But yeah. But I can smell. I don't know why it is. And I guarantee we could go out and I could tell you this girl right here, and we could ask her, and she'd say yes. Well, she might not say it. She might be offended. She might slap me. I don't know, but I could tell.
That's weird.
It's weird. There's a smell that I can smell. It's not blood. I'm not talking blood. I'm talking about the apparatuses that they're using to capture that blood. There's a scent to it that
weird.
I pick up.
What? So you're saying you smell like cotton, or you smell like?
It's something like that. Yes, I know it's weird.
That is weird.
It's weird. I shouldn't even brought it up. But I'm just saying.
Listen.
I'm like a superhero.
You're like a superhero.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would be applicable.
I'm on the rag man.
Yeah.
What would that name be for a superhero?
I don't know, but you keep saying I'm on the rag, and it just sounds fucking weird.
It's hilarious.
It sounds.
People are gonna love it.
It sounds weird.
We'd already named this episode, but I think it's gonna be the on the rag episode. No, it's not. That's not good.
No one's fucking gonna watch this episode on the rag.
They loved the happy ending episode. That was a good name.
Listen. Find a new term for your superpower, because that's not good.
All right, I'll find it.
Also,
that was just funny.
Maybe start a support group. I don't think people are going to believe you. Maybe
I'm going to look that up after we get off and see if that is a thing.
I mean, we were just talking about pheromones. There are certain things that well, I guess you're not talking about pheromones though. You're just talking about cotton or
no, I don't think it's fair, because like I said, it's not like an iron smell. It's not like a blood smell or anything. It's something with the apparatus, with the material. I don't know. It's hard to describe.
What if they just used a lot of toilet paper last time?
Well, yeah, I'm probably not going to catch everybody because I think it's only. I'm not trying to catch them like Pokemon or something, but I think it's I think it's only when they're wearing a tampon. I think it's a tampon smell that I smell.
That is weird.
I know it is weird.
It's fucking weird.
But since we're on relationships, I got a couple.
That's your segue to relationships. Periods.
Well, we were talking about relationships and dates and smells and cologne or whatever.
Right.
But I also had written down here to talk about rebound relationships, and I think I mentioned it to you earlier.
Rebound relationships.
Is that my mustache I'm seeing out there? There's something I'm seeing on my face out of my eye or down here like that.
It's your tampon.
But yeah, rebound relationships. So I don't know. I was just thinking about this the other day. You know, people always say, you know, a guy or a girl will get out of a relationship, right? They've been in a relationship for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, maybe a 20-year marriage, like I did, right? Got out, and you know, I had even gotten with somebody after I got divorced, and somebody was saying, "Oh, it's not going to last. It's just a rebound relationship." Well, I don't even know what that means. I mean, a relationship is just a relationship, right? I mean, are you rebounding? And if you are rebounding, why could that relationship not work? You know, people say, "Oh, well, that first relationship you get into after your breakup or your divorce or whatever is not going to last. That's just a rebound relationship." Well, how many times is that? I'd like to do a study. I'd like to poll some people and see how many people got with that next person after they broke up or got divorced, and that was the one that they're with the rest of their life.
I think it's a product of mental capacity, you know, after. I think most of my relationships have been, and I've only had a few, but most of my relationships have been rebound, I guess is what you would say. They had been the relationship after
and they worked out, right?
One. Well, obviously not. I had multiple, but
no, but I mean, it wasn't like, okay, a month now. Okay, well, that's not going to work out. That was just a rebound. Now move on to the next person.
Oh no,
5 people down the road. Now you're going to be okay. You have to wait 5 people after a breakup. You have to wait 2 people.
I think it's more it's more pattern recognition. You know, the reason it came up that the reason rebound relationships was termed, I think, is that, you know, most commonly it takes a certain amount of time to be emotionally okay with, you know, being alone and being away from
right.
Whatever
So it's a mentality thing. How
right.
quickly can you recover?
Yeah. If you're not recovered, then whatever relationship you're in probably is not going to last because you're not ready for it. You're not emotionally prepared to, you know, accept responsibility for that relationship and put certain things into it because you're still over there. You know what I mean? And then other people get through that faster, and the relationship they have after is totally fine. The exact same thing. And they can, you know, go a few years without, you know, having any problems, or go the rest of their lives, whatever.
Yeah, I guess my problem with it is I think people get this mentality that this first person I'm with after I just broke up is not going to work out because it's just a rebound, because that's what society is telling me. That's what my best friends are telling me. That's what my girlfriends are telling me. That's what my buddies telling me, that, hey, that's just a rebound. It's not going to work out. So I just wonder sometimes, are we predisposed to that? Are we not predisposed? What would the word be? Anyway, are we programmed to think that way? And are we fucking up relationships that would otherwise work out because we have that mentality? It's ingrained. That's the word I'm looking for. It's ingrained into us that first relationship after a breakup is not going to work out because it's a rebound.
For some
Are we
people.
sabotaging that relationship?
Oh, definitely. I mean, in a broader scale, not off topic, but in another avenue of this topic, there are people, some friends of ours, that have some kind of preconceived notions about relationships in general. They think that they should work a certain way due to their friends' relationships or whatever, and then they sabotage them because they're not working that certain way. And it's the same thing with rebound. You know, there are some people like me. Most of my relationships are rebound relationships, and one of them happened to be marriage. So. And I think rebound is kind of weird. It makes it seem less than it is because I'm married to her now. But if you want to do the technical definition, that's what it is. And I think some people have that mentality of sabotaging themselves because of what other people are saying, and then other people just don't think about it. I never thought about rebound relationships. You know, I had a girlfriend in high school, and then after that, I had another girlfriend in high school that was about the same duration. And then after that, I had another girlfriend in college, and that was a little bit longer. And all of them were one after the other. There wasn't any no dating or, you know, week-long, month-long relationships. It was all sequential. So I don't know. I think it's I think that your social, your friend group and stuff has a lot of bearing on how you act in relationships, and sometimes it doesn't. I think there is some, there's a reason it became a term. I think it's that mental capacity.
Right, probably more times than not it fails.
Right, because you're not, whoever's not ready or, just not putting everything they should be putting into.
Right, just too much baggage or too much resentment or too much heartache or pain or whatever. And
right, or you're struggling between, being single now and being back in a relationship. You're not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Well, a lot of people say, "Oh, get yourself back out there." Yeah, you need to date 3, 4, 5, 10 people before you make a decision on your relationship. Well, no. What if the first person you fucking meet is the one that you're supposed to be with, and y'all just get along and everything just kicks off and hits off perfectly, and you're happy? Why not just go with it? Why is it? I feel like people are sabotaging relationships sometimes when they don't have to.
Oh well, and that's a symptom of social media and the way things are. There's actually even I just think there are a lot of books. They are not giving a fuck. There's a couple podcasts and things that put a very kind of almost a religious mindset to it of not having sex till marriage and being with one person and valuing these things. And to a degree, they're completely right. As I go through life and become a little bit more educated on different topics, I don't think it's a get out there and experience. I think there is a certain amount of experience that you should have. I had, like three girlfriends before I got married, and right now, that is like being in the state of the world right now. That is basically not being a virgin. 3 partners. I mean, in my generation, you go out there and sow your wild oats as long as you can until you find someone you're all right with. I think it's kind of the opposite. I don't think you need... there's balance, just like everything. I think to a degree you need a little bit of experience to know what you like. But it doesn't take that long. I mean, it doesn't take...
Not really. Sometimes you know what you like and you don't even need to be with a person. I mean, you can just... you can figure that out.
You have ideals. Sometimes your ideals aren't even connected to sex and the opposite gender. Sometimes, as long as you find a person that's... kind of coincides with your interests, you're fine. That's it. And again, everyone's different in that regard. But I think that the issue is that more value needs to be placed on these things. Everyone's 1 foot in, 1 foot out in everything nowadays. Same thing with marriage, because divorce and everything is an option, and there's so many divorces going on. Everyone just thinks, oh, well, if we get divorced or you get a prenup or, you start thinking about it right away, when it should be more of a, no, I'm going to make a decision and just stand in it,
Yeah.
Lay in the bed I made. And,
people give themselves options or ways out.
Right. And you say, oh, well, we'll see where it goes, I'm married, but we'll see where it goes. People change, which is true. People change, situations change. There's a lot of factors that go into a really long-standing marriage, and I'm talking about this as a fucking, year and a half or something married guy, but no, it's helped me to look at things, especially in my generation, who is all about doing what you want, getting out when you feel like it, being okay with your decisions, and your feelings are the ones that matter. No one can tell you that your feelings are wrong. I say fuck that. Your feelings are wrong sometimes. Mm-hmm. And you have to be aware of it and stick to your guns in terms of the decisions you make. And that goes for everything. I am, to kind of go off topic, but just to relate it, I'm pro-abortion. However, I think if you have sex with someone irresponsibly, fucking deal with that decision. In general, I don't really care. But if you were to ask me, I'd be like, listen, you made your bed, fucking lie in it.
Yeah, and I can see that point for sure, because I'm the same way. I'm pro-abortion. But yeah, sometimes you just got to stand up and be a man, I guess, and just take responsibility for your actions.
You can't say it.
I just said it, but I put it in air quotes, so that makes it okay.
Okay. Well, the camera's off, so just to let everybody know, he put it in air quotes.
It did. It did cut off. I told you we had 18 minutes left.
No one come attack my father in his bedroom.
Yeah. Don't, because I have a handgun in there. That would be you'll be sorely mistaken. You'll be,
what
the fuck am I trying to say?
sorry.
Yeah, you'd be sorry. That's what it is. Yeah, I was trying to overcomplicate it. Use fancy words.
Fancy word. But, I think that has a lot to do with success in relationships. And, this is a whole other time. I was about to say that I'm not really one to speak because I've only been in it for so long. But maybe I am one to speak. Fuck you. Maybe length of time doesn't make you smart.
Man, don't be so harsh to my listeners.
I'm just saying. I know people. I'm gonna start speaking philosophy on marriage. People are gonna be like, "You were married for a fucking year and a half. What do you know about the struggles of marriage?"
Sometimes you got to figure it out, man. Sometimes you figure it out in a month.
There are.
Sometimes it takes you 50 years to figure it out.
Yeah, and that's individual. And you can learn something from me. I don't fucking care. Maybe you don't. Maybe you think I'm an asshole. But I think you put both feet in. That's the.
That's a good point. I like the way you put that. Having one foot in, 1 foot out, because even when you're not even married, maybe when you're dating, a lot of times people will have people on the hook. They're talking to one girl or one guy, and they've got 4 or 5 other people that they still kind of loosely talk to on the side, just so they have options.
Right.
Just in case things go south, they've got 4 or 5 other options over here, without putting both feet into the relationship. And maybe that's why that relationship doesn't ever flourish and it fails, because they don't have both feet in and they don't put all their effort into that, to growing and nourishing that relationship.
Right. And that's not only for the opposite sex. It's for everything. If you got 1 foot into gambling and 1 foot into your marriage, one of them is going to fail. If you got a hobby that you really enjoy that you're not willing to sacrifice for your marriage, one of them is going to fail. It's all about having priorities in order. It's all about having, deciding.
But it's not saying you can have multiple interests and
right.
Still balance all of those. But
you can balance all of those, but it's a priority-driven game. It's like I love you. You're my father, right? I love Megan's family. But if anything were to happen to you, and at the same time happen to Megan, my priority has already been determined that my marriage is over everything else. I'm starting a new family. It's my wife. If it's the same circumstance, but it's Megan and you, I've already decided that it's Megan. You know what I mean? And so you're putting priority in certain things. And I think it's a decision that you have to make right off the bat. It's something that is a cornerstone for the rest of your life. I kind of liken it to religion. A lot of people place a lot of bearing in religion into your faith, and that's a cornerstone of how they live their lives. And that's why it's so hard to discuss it, because if you make any kind of argument or point that might be important, that might be honest, that could totally dismiss or contradict their opinion, they still won't side with you or change their opinion, because that's their cornerstone. You know what I mean? That's what they live their life based on. And to a lesser degree, I think that should be what's big decisions like marriage and stuff like that. That should be what it boils down to, is you make a decision to hold that person above all else. And I don't really care about all the traditional stuff of in sickness and in health, but that stuff kind of applies. It's like, no matter what else is happening, no matter what hobby has to fall to the wayside, or what I have to give up, or whatever that is, that thing is, you are more important than that thing. And that's what marriage is. But at the same time, you got to decide whether if that person changes into a fucking asshole, maybe there are some situations where you don't do that, like abusive relationships and stuff like that. But
yeah,
so there's always a caveat. But in general, I think there's a mindset that needs to happen for you to have a successful relationship.
Right, I agree.
A mindset. But also, I'm only a year and a half in. Fuck me.
Yeah, who knows, man? You don't know. You don't know what's going on.
I don't fucking know.
But we need to start wrapping this guy up, man. We're at an hour and 58 or 59 minutes. We're almost 2 hours in.
Fuck that. Joe does like 2.5, 3 hours all the time.
I know. We do. And we used to do it. We used to do 2.5 hours consistently, and we talk forever.
Yeah, I don't care.
What else you got?
What else I got?
If we're going to talk a little bit more, I got to go pee, though. That's on it. We're going to have to take a pee break.
Shit. We'll be back after these messages.
But, yeah, hold on. We'll pause for the cause. And we're back. Everybody took a little pee break. Damn, we should have grabbed a couple more beers over there while we're up and about. You can do that, though, because the camera's not on. It's not going to see you. Camera went off. So, yeah, guys, we're going to try and render some video on this thing. We're two hours in. This is the biggest podcast I've done since I've gone solo. So
back on track, man. Got guests.
Thank you to Brian for coming in and being the first guest back in the studio.
Guests.
What'd you just say? The back on track? That's what we decided, right? Back on track. I was trying to remember what you said earlier. So that's what we're going to name the episode. The Back on Track episode.
You've just been rambling by yourself for like fucking 8 episodes.
I like it though. No, it's been way more than that. It's been like 20 episodes that I've done solo so far. I couldn't believe it when I looked it up the other day. I'm like, damn, it's been that long. You know, since the first week of July, and 2 episodes a week for the rest of July, August, and September. I mean, that's a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
A lot of episodes.
It is a lot of episodes.
All right, so we were talking about relationships.
Rebound relationships.
Rebounds, yeah. I think we kind of put that to rest. I had another note down here about sexual partners. You want to go into that? I don't know. I don't even know if that's still a thing anymore. Is it?
It was in high school. When I was in high school, it was a thing. So I guess it's maybe still a thing.
Yeah, and I don't know what the math is or what the equation is. It's algebra, I think, maybe. I don't know. Geometry. It's not geometry. It could be geometry, but it's just. It's not geometry. I know it's not. Maybe trigonometry. It's probably algebra for sure. It's probably just math. Probably just addition and subtraction.
Yeah, just say math.
But people like to embellish. I mean, people like to embellish just in general, really. But they definitely like to embellish their sexual partners. And I don't know why that is. I don't know why we're so scared just to say, look, I've slept with 5 people. I've slept with 10 people. Some people can't even remember how many people they slept with. They slept with so many people. But it seems like it's been a thing ever since I was growing up and went to school. And I think it's still a thing because I heard it somewhere. That's what brought it up. That's why I wrote it down. It's just funny how people, by people I mean men and women, and I guess there's more than just that nowadays, right? There's people that have no idea what gender they are. I'm not laughing at that. I guess I did chuckle for a second, but who am I to judge, right? But it seems like men always inflate the number of people that they slept with. So if they've only slept with 3 people, they might say they slept with 10. I don't remember what the math is. How many?
It's some kind of like
up or down. I think it's 7, right, or something.
Something like that.
So yeah, they've been with 3 people. They say, oh, I've been with 10 because they want to look more manly and macho. And I've bed a lot of women. I've got a lot of notches in my belt and whatever. And then the women are just the opposite. They don't want to seem like sluts. Like they're just sleeping around with everybody and that they're all used up. So they might have been with 10 people and they just say they slept with 3. So it's just the opposite. You know, men inflate, women subtract, just because of stereotypes that we have in society. And I don't know when that came about, when that became a thing.
Oh, it's fucking
if the caveman did it.
Thousands of years, man. And it's all reciprocal. You know, the guys want a higher number, and the girls want a lower number because the guys don't want girls who have higher numbers.
Right. Well, I know the reasoning behind it. Like I said, the women don't want to seem like sluts, and the men want to look like they're studs.
Right.
But I just don't understand why the true number is not enough.
Well, it's like a fucking, this is what I always say.
And if anybody has any ideas about any of this stuff that we're talking about, please email me, craftconversationspod@gmail.com, or hit me up on Facebook or Instagram or any of the avenues that I'm on out there, send me a message. Send Brian a message. Hell, I don't care. But yeah, if anybody has any any input on these topics, if you know why people inflate and deflate, let us know.
Also, disclaimer. I can talk about fitness and shit, but everything else outside of that, I have no fucking clue. I'm not an authority on any of that shit. Just an enthusiast.
Nobody's suing us. We don't need a disclaimer.
Listen, in today's world, you gotta fucking watch your back.
Yeah, I'm not a doctor.
Watch your back.
But I play one on a podcast.
But
we're not relationship experts, guys.
What happens is
we're just trying to have a discussion and conversation about it.
That's all podcast is two people talking about shit they don't understand.
Yeah, we're just trying to bring stuff up to get people to think about it.
But what I always think is we have a higher consciousness that kind of separates us from the natural. It's our special thing as apes, that we have a higher consciousness. And because we have a higher consciousness, we've gotten to this point where, our thought kind of supersedes our nature. And, some people might disagree with that, but or think that it works in conjunction or whatever. But I think that we've gotten to a point where thought supersedes nature, and now we're considering, all of these principles that we've held to and these standards and social structures and everything that have largely been dictated by the natural process of man versus woman. That's what it is. And it's all just a subjugation. It's all just a power play. Men want to be powerful and subjugate women, and women want to be appealing to the subjugating man, and it's all just a fucking symptom of that natural process. And now we're higher beings. We're fucking at a level of consciousness where we're like, well, that's fucking wrong. That's something we should try and work away from. And so now we have these questions on, like, why do people act like this? But to understand and change it, you have to understand that it was once a natural phenomenon, and that's how all these things happen. It's how these sayings and social structures happen, is because that's how life was until we started thinking about it.
Right. And I bring this up, and now that I think about it, I want to say that the pendulum, maybe not the pendulum, but I feel like that has changed a little bit now. I feel like women don't give a shit anymore.
No.
If they slept with 30 men or 100 or whatever, I don't feel like they're skewing their numbers. I feel like men still are. I feel like women have given up and said, fuck it, I don't give a fuck how many people I slept with. I'm a woman. Henry Ward.
Right. Well, it's because and again, I'm not an authority on any of this fucking shit, but to me, it is that women have gone through a movement that they're still going through of feminism and being equal to other people, and men have had less progress in that area. So we're already in terms of socio-political standing, people think we're already superior, and we have been for a while. But that doesn't mean that we're healthy, that we're right, So there's this hierarchy that women have been fighting against, and I think successfully, and people have been thinking a little differently and trying to restructure things, but men have lagged behind. Everything you hear about toxic masculinity and misogyny and all this stuff is, it's not only a man versus woman issue, it's a man versus man issue as well. It's I got the bigger dick, you're a faggot type of mentality that's still present in male society, even though female society is changing pretty drastically. And it's that thing that makes women go, I don't give a fuck, and men are still in the stage of, I'll kick your ass if you call me gay type of thing. You know what I mean? It's this kind of masculinity that you're raised in some places that tells you that you got to beat the shit out of someone and be superior and have sex with a bunch of people and be stronger than everyone else socially and physically and mentally, and be this domineering person, which precludes itself to all these things that people are fighting against. Rape culture and sexual harassment and all this stuff is kind of bred out of those those topics. So I don't know. That's what I think is women are progressing, men are staying stagnant, and attention needs to be placed on both.
Right. So I don't know. I don't think I'm going to go into that any further, but I just wanted to bring that up. I think that's just an interesting fact of life that's happened for the past, as long as I've been alive. People have been doing it. Men inflate, women subtract. So send me some comments. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. I'd like to hear what other people out there think about it.
How many comments? When you tell people to give you comments, how many comments you get?
It depends. I mean, usually it's at least a handful. Okay. Could be more. I get a lot of feedback. Mostly it's through Messenger, to be honest with you. On Facebook, people message me individually or personally and say, yeah, I like this or I like that, or I didn't agree with that, or this is because of that. You mentioned this and here's the facts on that, and whatever. People give me some feedback. Kind of give me some corrections or give me some thoughts, opinions, whatever. So yeah, I'll let you know when I get feedback. All right. On this episode. The Back on Track episode.
Back on track, baby. Talking about real shit. About real shit.
So what else you got? That's about all I got.
I don't know, man. We can talk about everything. I love talking.
Yeah.
About things.
We've hit a lot of topics.
Talk about that. It's National Pit Bull Month.
It is. That's what I've heard. Anyway, I haven't fact checked that.
Let's talk about our dogs, man. Leia, which is your dog. Leia. She's straight pit bull.
Well, we're not positive on that. I think she's mixed with a little something, but I mean, she was a rescue, so they're not. Right. We don't have any records.
I mean,
verify.
Her jaw and her body type suggests that she's all pit bull. But anyway, point of this is pit bulls are great. We have a pit bull lab mix at the house, and she is wonderful, so sweet. And I've known another pit bull that was kind of neurotic, but still sweet. Not my type of dog, but she wasn't aggressive by any means. And my grandparents, your parents, have a pit bull mix as well, who was skittish because he was in a traumatic household before they got him.
Yeah.
But the sweetest dog ever after you got past some trepidations.
Right. So I just looked this up. I'll interrupt for a second here. So October is National Pit Bull Awareness Month, and October 27th is National Pit Bull Awareness Day. Whether you love pit bulls, hate them, or are indifferent, I hope you'll take a moment to reflect on what they mean and why they matter. The pit bull is more than a dog. It's a symbol.
It is. It's a symbol of the nature of humanity as well. Just to broaden the philosophical perspective on Pit Bull Month. We train these dogs to fucking fight. Make them aggressive because they have a body type and a jaw that predisposes them to be really, really good at fighting the shit out of shit. And
here's what I think on this whole subject too. I think there was a period, and I don't know how many generations it's been, maybe 2-3 generations of dogs, since the whole kind of uproar with pit bulls went about and said, oh, pit bulls are just horrible, they attack everybody, they kill children, they're bad dogs. But I think it's just like people. I mean, we have epigenetics and we have genetics, and I think some of these things kind of go through generational changes, and I think we have kind of bred that out of, not completely, but I think we're finally breeding that out of the pit bulls. And not breeding it by just breeding different dogs, but I think genetics hold a memory. Would you agree with that? Oh. That we pass down certain memories through our genetics to future generations, that people will sometimes think certain ways or do certain things because that was passed down in their genetics to do and think those things.
Talking about Assassin's Creed. That's what you're talking about.
Is that what we're talking about?
Oh, yeah.
So I think pit bulls, we're slowly getting that out of the genetics to where a pit bull is an aggressive dog.
Maybe. I mean, I brought it up the other day. I think that's Fair point. Things have memory. Tissue has memory. To bring it back to fitness, tissue has pain memory. But
like if your grandmother was deathly afraid of snakes, somehow I think that gets ingrained into you to have a fear of snakes. Something like that.
There are some studies, and it might be a little fringy, but some studies that say that your psychological actions dictate a lot of turning on and turning off of genes. So it's not unfair to say that you can totally change genes and change your genetics based on memory or based on psychology. But I more think it's, not more think, I would like to present another option, is that pit bulls have a very polarizing personality. So if you raise it to fight and be aggressive, it's going to fucking be the most aggressive and most fierce thing in the animal kingdom, you know what I mean? But if you give it a good home and you treat it with respect and you are kind to it, I think it's the complete opposite. Almost, too exuberant, too joyful, very pleasant and nice, and loves everything and everyone. Doesn't bark, doesn't do anything to make life hard for anybody. And so, it could be the genetics thing, could be a little deeper, but or it could be just treat your dog right, man, and they'll be better. Just
like a person. You put a person in a cage. You put a choke collar on them. You don't feed them. You make them fight every day with a couple other people in some other cages. They're going to be an aggressive person. They're going to be an asshole.
Right. Which is why we should legalize opioids.
Right. Or mushrooms, at least. We need mushrooms.
Don't make criminals.
DMT, mushrooms.
Don't make criminals. Yeah. It's just like that episode. Oh, no, I won't get into the opioid thing. I could go for days on the opioid things. Yeah. You've ever watched Oz, the HBO show?
Oh, who has not?
Exactly. The lawyer gets put in there over 5 seasons. He fucking becomes gay and murders a bunch of people.
Yeah, he's like one of the worst.
Right. So
it was all situational.
Same for pit bulls. Don't make your pit bull murder people.
Right. Let him be a lawyer.
Exactly. But Leia is a great dog, and my dog Gloria is a great dog, and there's a lot of Abby. She's my in-laws' dog. She's great. She's we think a pit bull mix, but
yeah, Karen from the Keto Dojo. She's the one that turned me on to this pit bull awareness.
She does look like a ball. She's a wrecking ball.
And she's got. I think she's got 4 dogs over there now in her house. She rescues a lot of them, and I think she adopts a lot of them, and or pulls them in and helps get them out for adoption. Helps people, take over these pets or whatever, bring them into their homes. So she's out there doing great stuff for pit bull awareness, and she's got some great dogs over there too. Yeah. And they're all just loving, and all they do is lick you all day and sit in your lap, and they're not aggressive whatsoever, and they're just the most loving, friendly.
Yeah. The most aggressive thing you'll get out of them is that they're just so fucking happy to see you that they just barrel into you.
Yeah.
That's the most aggressive part. But Reed, Alex's friend in high school, he had a pit bull. I think pure pit bull. Same thing, just an amazing, friendly, exuberant dog that just ran around with you. You could play with it, and it'll gnaw on your arm and not do anything harmful, and just play with you, and it gets so excited when it sees you around. And they're just good dogs. They're good dogs.
Fantastic. And I never thought I would own one.
And they're smart.
Yeah.
They're very smart.
Super smart.
They're, I've got a lot of in-laws. Arlo, you've met Arlo. Mm-hmm. He's a pure breed poodle, I'm pretty sure. Fucking neurotic. He's nice. He's not my type of dog, but he's smart, but in like a serial killer kind of type of way, like neurotic, and which I've heard pure breeds are in general.
In my experience, purebred dogs have been worse than mixes.
Oh yeah, and they're more expensive. They're not for good cause.
Crazy expensive.
Um,
And you got all kind of other dogs out there, rescues and adoptions that need a home and need care, and people are breeding these purebred dogs and charging enormous amounts of money for them.
And breeding them in good situations to where if no one adopts them, they're still in a good situation. But
Yeah.
That's besides the point. The point is, pit bulls are great and smart and awesome. But I will say, we've had a friend who has adopted a pit bull, an older pit bull, who didn't have a very friendly home, and it's hard to redeem a pit bull who has been through certain situations. Like I said, sometimes you can find a dog like Cody, who's a pit bull mix, who's been through a horrible situation. He had his firecrackers lit to his tail and a bunch of tied up with chains and ropes and whatever.
Right.
And
bunch of rubber bands on his tail. They had to amputate his tail and shave his whole back off because of the firecrackers and whatever fireworks. So very traumatic.
And then that dog became a great dog. Perfect, really well around. He was a little skittish at first, but perfect around children, perfect around adults, whatever.
Still skittish though.
Yeah,
there are thunderstorms or 4th of July, New Year's Eve when fireworks going off, just gets insane, crazy with that. But
it's redeemable in some sense. But then there's dogs, and this was a pit bull through and through, large jaw, very muscular, very big, and just too aggressive. He was sweet sometimes, but he didn't have there was no line between play and aggression. So you'd get bit, and there was no warrant for it. And when you look at the dog, it doesn't seem like it's mad at you or aggressive or anything, but
it's just its level of play.
Right. It had it didn't have it didn't have boundaries in terms of the physicality of play and the physicality of like fighting. So in that situation, our friends did a bunch of training and a bunch of things and just never got better, and eventually had to put it down because it was just too much. It was detrimental to the people around the dog, so they had to put it down. But you put it in a situation where it gets a certain way, you can't get it back out. But if you get your pit bull puppy from the pound, or within 3 years or something, and it's had okay experiences, then pit bulls are great.
Yeah. And I think there's avenues out there where they probably could have helped that other dog. There's dog therapists,
Well, depending on how much money.
Schools, obedience schools, whatever. You could probably retrain, but it costs money, it costs time.
Yeah, how much is your dog worth, really, at that point?
Yeah.
It's a lot of money to do training. A lot of money.
Yeah.
But Pit Bull Awareness Month. Everybody go pet a pit bull.
Yeah, get a pit bull. Go to any pound out there, any animal society, any whatever, and you're going to see 90% pit bulls.
A lot of pit bulls.
Or mixes, whatever.
Pit bulls.
They just don't get love.
Pit bulls and black dogs.
Black dogs, elder dogs.
Yep.
Everybody wants the cute little puppy. And then they get that cute little puppy and they're like, fuck this puppy. It's too much work.
Right. It's too much.
Yeah.
Puppies are fucking a lot of work. My wife and I almost didn't make it in our relationship because of a puppy.
Oh. Yeah, me too. We went through like 4 dogs that almost got us divorced before we finally got Samantha.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's hard, man. It's hard to. It's a kid, for a shorter duration than a kid takes. A kid takes a lot of work for a long period of time, but a puppy takes a lot of work for a short period of time, but a lot of work.
Yeah. Trust me, I know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A lot of work. Almost more than a kid. Yeah.
I've never had a kid, but I can imagine.
You guys peed on a few things. You weren't chewing up stuff though, and you weren't chewing up tables and chairs.
That's true. We didn't cause property damage. Yeah. We didn't do that.
But yeah, you have your fair share of damage with a child, but Dogs, man. They can tear some shit up.
I guess that's true. That's one of the things you learn in anthropology is humans are very fragile as an infancy.
Oh, compared to any other species out there.
Compared to any other species.
Most species come out and they're walking right away.
Mm-hmm. And chewing shit up like a puppy.
Yeah.
But, and the reason I know this is one of the, it's one of the arguments for monogamy, which a lot of people say monogamy is not natural, which it may not be. But they said that in the human species, it's essential because of the fragility of infancy, and that their chances of survival were like quadrupled when you had two parents, or just two single parents, in terms of like bouncing around from multiple partners or whatever, and nature does. But yeah, super fragile. Babies fucking suck.
Yeah.
In terms of being able to survive.
Right.
So, you want to end on that? Babies are fragile pieces of shit?
Yeah, I think we're going to end on that. We're not going to end on that, but I think we're going to wrap this puppy up, man, because it's late. It's 1:30 in the morning. We still got to edit this boy. We still got some stuff to do, so...
Yep.
And it's been a long one. We're at 2:25 right now, so we're going to wrap this up. Let's do this.
Get back on track, baby!
Well, yeah, only with a guest am I going to go that long. But. So, let's wrap this thing up with this. So we always do a David Goggins. I did one earlier in the week when I did my last podcast, but that was last week's Goggins, so I'm going to do this week's Goggins.
Hold on.
My watch just told me it's time for bed.
You can do the Goggins. The Goggins thing is going to be a good send-off. I've liked the Goggins things for a send-off. I'd just like to tell everyone to look up Paragon Athletics on Instagram. Follow us, like us on Facebook. We have a lot of good information, even if you aren't in Flagstaff. We have a lot of informative videos on exercises you can do for your aches, your pains. Feel free to contact either of the Brian Dales for info on fitness. I can't say nutrition legally because I am not. I have no kind of education in nutrition, but I am an enthusiast in nutrition, so I'd love to talk to you about it. But regardless of all that, follow Paragon Athletics on Instagram or Facebook and see what we're all about. Learn some stuff, do some exercise, move your body. All right, do your David Goggins shit.
All right. So what did David say Monday? And again, I haven't read through this, so I don't have it all mapped out where I'm going to do it justice speaking-wise. Is that what I'm saying? I don't know. I always seem to mess up his quotes because I don't know. I can't read, I guess. Reading is fundamental.
Should you say fundamental or fundamental?
Fundamental. I always mess that word up. So use people's comfort as your strength. Why work out at 3 a.m.? Because no one else is. In life, you are constantly looking for an edge. You have to find it when and where no one else is looking. It's not about the running, push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups. Those are all just tools to strengthen your mindset. A hard mindset isn't formed while sitting on the couch, wishing you had the discipline to do more. It is those early morning wake-up calls and workouts that suck the most that will draw strength. God damn it. It is those early morning wake-up calls and workouts that suck the most that you will draw... Fuck, I fucked it up again. It is those early morning wake-up calls and workouts that suck the most that you will draw strength from and find more when you need it most. If you think I want to get up at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning and do anything, let alone run, you are sadly mistaken. I just know that this day and many other days like this one that will come back to help me in life. As you see, I didn't say that it will help me in a race, rather life. Don't be the person who needs a race or an event in front of them to train. Be the person that is constantly training so they are in shape mentally and physically just in case a race comes up or life just happens. Thoughts?
Beautiful. But I want to take this moment to mention that David Goggins had a lot of trauma in his life, which spurred a lot of this mental fortitude. I think trauma has a big place in how successful you are in life. And he's had a lot of it. So if you're comparing yourself to David Goggins, don't. But he is in a situation to give you some motivation, some inspiration. So, take everything, use it as you will in your life. But realize that he's gone through some shit. He didn't just happen upon his level of fitness and his mindset. He has been through trials and tribulations that gain him a certain perspective and a certain wisdom that he imparts on you. Take it as you will.
Right. And I like what he says, you don't have to have a race or an event in front of you to train. Just fucking get out there and train. But on the other hand, I like to have, and I think I like to tell people to have a race or event in front of you to make you train. I think it works both ways. I think if you want to mentally callous your brain and really get mentally tough, then yeah, you should be able to do it without having an event in front of you. But I think for most of us, we need that carrot out in front of us we don't need it, but I think it helps to have that carrot out in front of us to have a goal in mind.
I think
keep us accountable.
I think you need a carrot. I don't think you need an event. I think you can go for other things too.
Right, not necessarily an event, but at least a goal, something that you're reaching towards or striving for.
You need a goal, and you need to continually update it. Whether it's I want to do a push-up in the next month, I want to do a pull-up in the next month, I want to run a 5K, I want to run a marathon, I want to join a gymnastics gym or be good at jiu-jitsu, or whatever it is. You do need a physical goal, a purpose. A purpose is a better way to say it. For everything. People, the life expectancy of people past retirement is significantly less so than if you are working. And that's because there's a purpose to your life. If you don't have a purpose to physical activity, then you will not succeed more often than not. So find your purpose. It can be small, it can be big, it can be an overarching goal or a monthly, weekly goal. Whatever it is, you do need a carrot in front of you. I believe that as well.
Right. And I think he's talking more for the people that want to be the baddest of the badass. Don't wait for that goal, or don't have that carrot in front of you. Just get out there and fucking do it.
Well, he has a carrot too. His carrot is fuck you. His carrot is...
He does have a carrot.
He doesn't hate himself, but his carrot is, I want to be better than myself. I want to be, fuck you, fuck my mentality. I want to be better than that.
So his goal is to be better tomorrow than he was the day before.
Right, and again, that's because that was shaped from his past experiences. So that's what his carrot is.
Right. So on that note, find your carrot, get on with it, chase it, and we'll talk to you soon.